The desert wind howls across the Iraqi sands, carrying whispers of a story older than the ruins it buries. Beneath the sun-bleached stones of ancient Sumer, where the first cities rose like miracles from the dust, lies a question that has haunted scholars, dreamers, and seekers for centuries. Who were the Anunnaki? In the myths of the world's earliest civilization, they are described as divine beings, gods who descended from the heavens to shape humanity's destiny. But what if the Sumerians weren't weaving tales of celestial deities? What if they were preserving memories of something far stranger, beings from another world? Or perhaps even from another time? Teachers from beyond the stars? Or from a future we can scarcely imagine, whose knowledge seeded the foundations of civilization itself? Welcome to the mystery that begins our journey. Listeners of Mystery, History for Sleep, I am Mr. inviting you to close your eyes and drift into the enigma of the Anunnaki, because in their story, we might find the key to a truth we've been trying to forget for 5,000 years. The Sumerians called them those who came down from heaven. The word Anunnaki breaks apart in their ancient tongue. Anu, the sky god, and Ki, the earth. Together it suggests offspring of the sky god upon the earth, or more provocatively, those of princely seed who descended. The texts are clear: they were not born among humanity, nor did they emerge from the rivers or mountains like the spirits of other cultures. They arrived. They came from above, bearing gifts of knowledge that transformed nomadic tribes into builders of cities, scribes of laws and observers of the stars. But who were they really? Were they gods, as the priests of Europe claimed, their voices echoing in ziggurat shadows? Or were they something else, visitors perhaps, whose origins were lost in the translation of clay tablets pressed by hands long turned to dust? In 1849, Sir Austen Henry Layard stood in the ruins of Nineveh, unearthing the first fragments of Sumerian literature from beneath centuries of sand. Among the shattered tablets, he found the Enuma Elish, the Babylonian creation epic. Rooted in older Sumerian tales, the text spoke of the Anunnaki as divine architects shaping the world with deliberate precision. They taught humanity to write, to calculate, to build canals that tamed the wild rivers. They delivered the divine decrees or cosmic principles that governed everything from kingship to craftsmanship. Layard, brushing dirt from the cuneiform wedges, felt a chill as he read descriptions of beings who seemed less like mythic gods and more like instructors with a curriculum. The Enuma Elish didn't describe divine miracles but systematic processes. How to mix clay for tablets, how to align temples with the stars, how to organize societies with laws and hierarchies. It read like a manual, not a hymn. The mystery deepened as scholars like Dr. Samuel Noah Kramer decades later in 1956 pored over thousands of tablets in the University of Pennsylvania's basement archives. Kramer, a pioneer in Sumerology, translated texts that described the Anunnaki with unsettling specificity. In the myth Enki and the World Order, Enki, the god of wisdom, traveled from city to city, assigning roles with the precision of a project manager. To Eridu, he gave irrigation techniques, detailing the depth of canals and the spacing of water gates. To he delivered protocols for brick production, specifying ratios of clay to straw. To Nipper, he assigned astronomical observations with instructions for tracking Venus's 8-year cycle. Kramer's hands trembled as he realized these were not vague divine proclamations, but technical directives, as if Enki were a consultant dispatched to ensure a civilization ran smoothly. The Anunnaki didn't just inspire, they engineered. But what if this engineering wasn't divine? In the 972nd, a controversial figure named Zecharia Sitchin proposed a radical interpretation that sent ripples through both academic circles and fringe communities. Sitchin, studying the same texts as Kramer, argued that the Anunnaki were not gods but extraterrestrial beings from a planet called Nibiru orbiting beyond the known solar system. According to Sitchin, they arrived on Earth 450,000 years ago, seeking gold to stabilize their planet's atmosphere. They genetically engineered early humans to serve as laborers, then taught them the arts of civilization to ensure their survival. Sitchin pointed to the Atrahasis, a Sumerian flood myth, which describes the Anunnaki creating humans from clay mixed with divine essence. To Sitchin, this was no metaphor. It was a description of genetic manipulation with clay representing organic material and divine essence, the DNA of an advanced species. Sitchin's theories were dismissed by mainstream scholars as speculative fiction. His translations criticized for inaccuracies. Yet even his critics couldn't deny the precision of certain Sumerian artifacts that seemed to support his claims. Take the cylinder seal VA-243. Discovered in the ruins of Akkad and catalogued at the Vorderasiatics Museum in Berlin. This small limestone seal, when rolled onto clay, reveals a scene that has sparked endless debate. At its center is a radiant star, unmistakably the Sun, surrounded by 11 spherical bodies in orbital positions. The arrangement bears an eerie resemblance to a heliocentric model of the solar system with planets varying in size. Jupiter large, Mercury small, and others clustered like inner planets. This was impossible. The Sumerians living in 2500 BCE were supposed to believe in a geocentric universe with Earth at the center and the Sun orbiting it. Yet here was a seal pressed into clay to mark ownership, depicting a solar system not formally mapped until Copernicus in 1543. Scholars like Michael Heiser have argued against Sitchin's interpretation, claiming the central figure is not the Sun but a star symbolizing a deity, and the dots are merely stars in a constellation, not planets. They point out that the seal lacks Earth's moon and that Sumerian astronomy didn't include all modern planets. But proponents counter that the varying sizes and positions suggest knowledge beyond naked eye observation. Perhaps a map provided by visitors who knew the full layout of our cosmic neighborhood. The controversy rages on, with some suggesting the seal's 11 bodies plus the central Sun make 12, aligning with Sitchin's 12th planet theory, where Nibiru is the missing world. Sitchin's work, detailed in books like The 12th Planet and the Anunnaki Chronicles, paints a vivid picture of these beings as extraterrestrial architects. He describes Nibiru as a rogue planet with a 3,600-year elliptical orbit, crossing into our solar system periodically and causing gravitational havoc. The Anunnaki, facing atmospheric decay on their home world, needed gold particles to reflect solar radiation and stabilize their environment, a technology that echoes modern geoengineering ideas. Upon arriving on Earth, they established mining operations in Africa, but the labor was grueling for their own kind. Thus, they mixed their DNA with that of Homo erectus, creating Homo sapiens as a hybrid workforce. Sitchin supports this with translations of texts like the Enuma Elish, where the god Enki slays a fellow deity and uses his blood to animate clay figures interpreted as genetic splicing. Critics, including linguists and archaeologists, accuse Sitchin of cherry-picking and mistranslating cuneiform. For instance, the term Anunnaki is more accurately princely offspring or those of royal blood, not necessarily aliens. Words like Shem, which Sitchin rendered as rocket ship, actually mean name or fame. Yet, Sitchin's ideas have permeated popular culture, influencing everything from ancient aliens television shows to modern UFO law. His death in 2010 didn't dim the flame. Compilations like the Anunnaki Chronicles, edited by his niece Janet Sitchin, continue to compile his research, offering an insider look at decades of study. But let's add a layer to this enigma. Listeners, a twist that takes us beyond mere extraterrestrials. What if the Anunnaki weren't from another planet, but from another time? Imagine beings not traversing space in ships of metal and fire, but bending the fabric of reality itself, stepping through portals from a distant future. This time traveler hypothesis, explored in episodes of Ancient Aliens and speculative works, posits that UFOs and ancient visitors are humans from tomorrow, returning to guide or observe their own origins. In this view, the Anunnaki could be our descendants, evolved beyond recognition, using advanced quantum technology to visit key moments in history. Their descent from heaven might describe wormholes or temporal rifts, not spaceships. Sitchin's Nibiru could be a metaphor for a catastrophic event in the future, a comet or climate shift that prompts time travel to rewrite the past. This theory gains traction when we consider anomalies in ancient texts that hint at foreknowledge. The Sumerians' flood myths paralleling Noah's story describe a deluge predicted by the Anunnaki as if they knew it was coming. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, Utnapishtim receives advanced warning to build an ark, preserving life through a cataclysm. If these beings were time travelers, they might have been intervening to ensure humanity's survival, planting seeds of civilization to avert a timeline where we went extinct. Modern parallels abound. Reports of UFOs near nuclear sites as if monitoring or preventing disasters. Or the 2004 NIMS incident, where pilots encountered craft-defying physics. Perhaps temporal probes from a future Earth ravaged by war or environmental collapse. Drifting deeper, consider the psychological implications. If the Anunnaki were time travelers, their genetic engineering of humans could be an attempt to upgrade our species, inserting traits for resilience or intelligence to alter the future. This echoes theories in quantum mechanics, where observers affect reality retroactively. Perhaps their arrival in Sumer was a bootstrap paradox, creating the very civilization that would one day invent time travel. The MI. Those cosmic principles become temporal blueprints handed down to bootstrap progress. Now, let's venture into the shadows of conspiracy, where the Vatican's secret archives enter the fray. For centuries, whispers have circulated that the Holy See harbors forbidden knowledge, including ancient Sumerian texts that reveal the Anunnaki's true nature. The Vatican Apostolic Archives, formerly known as the Secret Archives, contain over 85 kilometers of shelving with documents dating back to the 8th century. While mainstream access is limited, declassified materials include medieval manuscripts and papal correspondence. But conspiracy theorists claim deeper vaults hold extraterrestrial or temporal artifacts. Tablets from Sumer, perhaps smuggled during the Crusades or acquired through Jesuit explorers. One persistent rumor involves the Third Secret of Fatima, revealed in 1917 to Portuguese children by the Virgin Mary. Some interpret it as a vision of apocalyptic visitors from the stars or time suppressed to avoid panic. Others link it to ancient aliens, suggesting the Vatican knows of Anunnaki interventions in biblical events. Enoch's ascent to heaven as an abduction, or Ezekiel's wheel as a time machine. In 2018, Michigan Technology Review reported on AI efforts to decipher the archive's oldest texts, hinting at hidden mysteries. Could these include Sumerian cuneiform detailing the Anunnaki's arrival? Theorists like those on Ancient Aliens speculate that the Church has translated forbidden seals like VA-243 confirming a 12th planet or temporal rift but buried the truth to maintain religious authority. Imagine the implications if the Vatican holds Sumerian originals untranslated or altered. They might reveal the Anunnaki as architects of monotheism itself. Anu as a prototype for Yahweh. Enki as the serpent in Eden offering knowledge. This conspiracy extends to modern times with claims that world leaders consult these archives during crisis using ancient wisdom to navigate UFO encounters or time anomalies. The 2020 opening of Pius, the first 12 TH's files fueled speculation. But nothing on Sumer surfaced, perhaps because the real secrets remain sealed. As we drift further, consider global parallels that bolster these theories. The Dune tribe of Marley speaks of Sirius B, an invisible white dwarf star, knowledge they attribute to fish-like beings from the sky, echoing Enki's aquatic associations. In India, the Vedas describe Vimanas, flying machines piloted by gods, possibly Anunnaki craft or time vessels. Mesoamerican legends of Quetzalcoatl, a feathered serpent teacher from the stars. Mirror Enki's wisdom. These shared motifs suggest a worldwide intervention, whether extraterrestrial or temporal, coordinated by beings who traversed not just space, but eras. Sitchin's critics like Heiser argue his work is pseudoscience, lacking peer review and relying on flawed linguistics. Yet his influence endures with millions of books sold and theories inspiring films, books, and podcasts. In a 2010 New York Times profile, Sitchin was portrayed as a solitary scholar, convinced of his discoveries until his death. His niece's compilations keep the flame alive, offering readers a reader-friendly entry into his vast research. But let's circle back to VA-243. The artifact at the heart of the storm dated to the Akkadian period, 2352,150 B.C. This seal shows a seated figure, possibly a king or god, surrounded by attendants and that enigmatic starry scene. Sitchin saw the central star as our sun, the 11 dots as planets, including Nibiru. Detractors note that Sumerian art often used stars symbolically for deities or constellations, and the seal likely depicts the Pleiades or a mythic narrative. No text on the seal mentions planets. It's an ownership mark, perhaps for a merchant. Yet, the varying dot sizes intrigue. Why not uniform if mere decoration? Some speculate it's a map of the Anunnaki's home system or a temporal diagram showing timeline branches. In the time traveler lens, Virginia 243 could be a chronal map, the planets representing key historical nodes with Nibiru as a singularity event, a black hole in time. This blends with theories from physicists like Kip Thorne, who posit wormholes for time travel, perhaps harnessed by advanced beings. As the wind fades and shadows lengthen over the ruins, the Anunnaki linger like ghosts in the machine of history. Were they extraterrestrial architects from Nibiru, mining gold and molding mankind? Or time travelers from a fractured future, descending to rewrite our fate? The Vatican's vaults may hold the answers, guarded by centuries of silence. Cylinder seals like VA-243 whisper clues, but the full truth evades us, buried in clay and controversy. Close your eyes, listeners, and ponder. Are we their descendants, shaped by stars or seconds? Or merely their experiment, adrift in time's endless desert? If these whispers of hidden titans and veiled conspiracies have stirred your imagination, stay tuned for more mysteries that lull the mind while awakening the soul. Where are you joining us from this evening? And what time is it in your corner of the world? We'd love to hear from you. The sun rises slowly over the arid hills of southeastern Turkey, casting long shadows across a landscape that has held its secrets for 11 millennia. Beneath a seemingly ordinary mound known to local shepherds as Göbek lies a discovery that shatters everything we thought we knew about the dawn of human civilization. Uncovered in 1994 by Dr. Klaus Schmidt, this site is no mere collection of stones. It is a monumental complex of towering pillars intricately carved and precisely arranged, built by a people who were supposed to be simple hunter-gatherers. Yet the sophistication of Göbekli, dated to 9,600 B.C., predates agriculture, cities, and even the invention of the wheel. It stands as a silent witness to a civilization that seems to have vanished without a trace, leaving behind questions that echo through the ages. And now, as we delve deeper in this episode of Codex of the Lost, Mr. H invite you to consider an even wilder possibility. Could Göbek be more than a temple? Could it be a stargate? A portal to a lost world hidden from us by forces that fear its reactivation. Dr. Klaus Schmidt first glimpsed the hill in 1994 while driving through the dusty plains near Shanlur. Local shepherds had long known of strange stones that occasionally surfaced, their edges too smooth to be natural. Schmidt, a German archaeologist with a passion for Neolithic sites, decided to investigate what others had dismissed as insignificant. When his team began digging, they uncovered something impossible. Massive T-shaped limestone pillars, some standing 18 feet tall and weighing up to 20 tons. Arranged in circles like a prehistoric Stonehenge. Radiocarbon dating placed their construction at 9,600 BCE, making Göbekli older than the pyramids, older than Sumer's first cities, older than agriculture itself. Schmidt stood among the stones, his breath catching as he realized he was looking at the oldest monumental architecture known to humanity. But who built it and why? The discovery turned every model of civilizational development upside down, suggesting that complex societies might have existed long before we thought possible. The pillars of Göbekli are not crude stacks of rock. They are masterworks of engineering, quarried from bedrock with stone tools, transported across uneven terrain without wheels or beasts of burden, and erected with a precision that rivals modern construction. Each T-shaped monolith, shaped to resemble a stylized human figure, stands upright in shallow sockets, their bases aligned with a mathematical accuracy that suggests a deep understanding of structural engineering. Schmidt traced his fingers along the carvings that adorn these stones. Foxes, vultures, snakes, wild boars, and abstract symbols that seem to follow a systematic pattern. The artistry is breathtaking. With relief so detailed, they imply a culture capable of symbolic thinking far beyond what hunter-gatherers were supposed to achieve. The figures wear belts and loincloths, their arms folded in a gesture that feels deliberate, almost ritualistic. Were these carvings mere decoration, or were they encoding a message meant to outlast the people who carved them? As excavations continued under Schmidt's direction until his death in 2014 and later under Dr. Necmi Carroll, the mystery deepened. The site wasn't built in a single burst, but over centuries with newer circles showing more elaborate carvings and larger pillars. Yet there was initial evidence of no permanent settlements nearby. No houses, no hearths, no signs of the agricultural infrastructure that should have supported such a massive undertaking. The builders of Göbekli appeared out of nowhere, constructed a complex that required thousands of laborers and decades of effort, then vanished back into the landscape. Schmidt, standing in the excavation pit, felt a chill as he considered the implications. This wasn't the work of a primitive tribe stumbling into architecture. It was the product of a society with institutional knowledge capable of organizing large-scale projects and preserving their plans across generations. But where were the traces of that society? Recent discoveries as of 2025 have reshaped our understanding even further. In February 2025, archaeologists announced the uncovering of living quarters at Göbekli, complete with domestic structures, extensive cereal processing tools, and a sophisticated water supply system, including systems holding up to 150 cub-m. These findings, reported in the Jerusalem Post and other outlets, disprove earlier theories that the site was solely a ceremonial pilgrimage center. Instead, it suggests Göbekli was a thriving settlement where hunter-gatherers not only built monuments, but lived, worked, and perhaps experimented with early forms of domestication. Organic remains from plaster and tools confirm dates spanning from 9,500 to 8,000 B.C., bridging the pre-pottery Neolithic A and B periods. A remarkable boar statue unearthed in recent digs has sparked controversy. Social media buzzed with claims of suppression as the artifact's pristine condition hints at advanced preservation techniques or even ritualistic intent. In July 2025, Daily Sabah highlighted how Göbekli continues to draw global fascination with T-shaped obelisks towering 3 to 6 m and weighing 40 to 60 tons. Excavations revealed fragments of human crania with incisions, part of a Neolithic skull cult identified in 2017. suggesting rituals involving the dead. And in a stunning revelation from scientific reports in 2024, but amplified in 2025 discussions, carvings on the pillars may represent the world's oldest solar calendar, marking a comet swarm impact around 10,950 BCE that triggered the younger, driest climatic upheaval. Researchers like Martin Swatman from the University of Edinburgh argue that the vulture stone depicts this event with symbols corresponding to constellations and a date stamp for a cosmic catastrophe that reshaped the planet. The astronomical alignments of Bekleet add another layer to the enigma. Several of the stone circles are oriented to track the rising of Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, while others align with solstices and equinoxes. Dr. Martin Swatman, in his 2017 analysis, updated in recent publications, proposed that the carvings might represent a prehistoric star map with symbols corresponding to constellations visible 11,000 years ago. One pillar, known as the vulture stone, depicts a bird holding an orb aligned with the constellation Scorpio as it appeared during the Younger Dust period, a time of climatic upheaval around 10,800 BC. The precision of these alignments suggests that the builders possessed systematic knowledge of celestial mechanics, a science we associate with later civilizations like Sumer or Egypt. How did hunter-gatherers, supposedly focused on survival, develop such sophisticated astronomy? And why did they pour their resources into building a monument to the stars? The carvings themselves hint at a deeper purpose. The animals, lions, scorpions, cranes, are not random, but seem to follow a narrative logic, perhaps encoding myths or astronomical events. Schmidt noted a recurring motif of human-like figures, their features stylized but anatomically precise as if carved from direct observation. Some researchers like Dr. Andrew Collins in 2014 suggested these figures might represent the builders' ancestors or perhaps their teachers, beings revered as divine or otherworldly. The Sumerian myths of the Anunnaki, those who came down from heaven, echo eerily here. Could Gabasip be a physical link to the same teachers who later shaped Sumer? The site's age places it millennia before Sumer's cities. Yet, its sophistication suggests a continuity of knowledge that defies the archaeological record. Now, let's venture into the realm of speculation that elevates Bekleet from ancient temple to something far more extraordinary. A stargate to a lost world. In fringe theories popularized on platforms like Reddit and Ancient Origins, the site's pillars and alignments are seen not just as observatories, but as portals. Energy devices designed to connect dimensions or summon cosmic forces. The T-shaped pillars with their anthropomorphic forms could be activation keys. Their carvings, a code to open gateways. Discussions on our conspiracy and similar forums point to the vulture stone as a record of a Kumtri encounter with the Taurid meteor stream around 10,950 BCE, causing the Younger Dust, a sudden ice age that wiped out Megaporna and disrupted human societies. Authors like Martin Swatman and Demetrius Secrets, in their 2017 paper Decoding Golip with Archoastronomy, What Does the Fox Say?, argue that the symbolism supports coherent catastrophism, where the builders memorialized a sky event that nearly ended humanity. Conspiracy theorists take this further. Why was Gbasip intentionally buried around 8,000 BC? Schmidt and his team confirmed the burial was deliberate, with tons of earth and stone placed meticulously to protect the pillars, not destroy them. Reddit threads buzz with ideas that it was hidden from a future threat, invaders, a recurring catastrophe, or even to suppress its power. Some claim the site was a stargate, a portal used by ancient beings to travel between worlds or times, buried to prevent misuse. Links to the Pier map. A 1.513 Ottoman chart showing an ice-free Antarctica with uncanny accuracy suggest ancient topographers had access to pre-Ice Age knowledge. Could Geekly's builders have mapped the stars and Earth from a lost era, their portal connecting to Antarctic ruins now under miles of ice? suppressed by governments. These theories whisper of a global network with Jurbic as a node in a forgotten grid. In 2025 updates, excavations at nearby Karahan dated similarly reveal smaller T-shaped pillars and enclosures suggesting a regional tradition. A YouTube video from Megalithania in June 2025 details new discoveries, including potential domestic areas and tools, fueling debates on whether these sites were observatories or gateways. Controversies abound. Olive trees were removed in 2025 to expand digs, but footage sparked accusations of mishandling, as if authorities rushed to uncover or cover up secrets. Social media claims a boar statue found in Special Building D was suppressed, its details hinting at advanced symbolism. The absence of a developmental phase at Beklit troubles archaeologists most. Every other ancient site shows a progression. Crude early structures giving way to refined ones. Simple tools evolving into complex technology. But Gbasip appears fully formed with no primitive precursors. Dr. Ian Hodder, an archaeologist at Stanford, noted in 2018 that the site challenges the standard narrative that agriculture enabled complex societies. Instead, Göbek Leap suggests that monumental architecture might have driven the development of agriculture as communities gathered to build and maintain the site, necessitating food surplus and social organization. But this raises a deeper question. How did a pre-agricultural society acquire the knowledge to plan and execute such a project? Were they taught by a culture we've yet to discover? One that left no other traces. The global parallels amplify the mystery. Across the world, other megalithic sites, Stonehenge, the Maltese temples, the Yanaguni monument in Japan share features with Göbekli, massive stones, astronomical alignments, and an absence of clear precursors. Dr. Robert Schull, a geologist at Boston University, proposed in 2015 that these sites might be remnants of a global network of advanced cultures connected by trade or knowledge exchange before recorded history. The Sumerian myths of the Anunnaki with their tales of sky teachers resonate with similar stories in Egypt where Thoth delivered writing or in Mesoamerica where Quetzalcoatl taught astronomy. Could Gbasip be a node in this lost network? A place where knowledge was encoded in stone to survive a cataclysm we can only glimpse in myths. The Younger Dust period around 10,800 B.C. offers a clue. This era of sudden climate change marked by floods and cold snaps may have disrupted early human societies. Swedman's analysis of Gbasip's carvings suggests they record a comet impact around this time, an event that could have triggered the climatic upheaval. The vulture stone might depict this catastrophe with symbols representing a cosmic event that reshaped the world. The Sumerian flood myths appearing millennia later could be an echo of this memory preserved through oral traditions until cuneiform captured them in clay. If Göbekli's builders survived such a disaster, their decision to bury the site might reflect a fear of another collapse, a determination to protect their knowledge for a future they couldn't guarantee. The carvings also hint at a spiritual or ritual purpose. The animals and humanoid figures suggest a cosmology, a way of understanding the universe that integrated the natural and celestial worlds. Dr. Erdoğan, a Turkish archaeologist, proposed in 2020 that Göbek was a ceremonial center where rituals reinforced social bonds and preserved knowledge through performance. The pillars with their human-like forms might represent ancestors or deities, perhaps even the Anunnaki-like figures later revered by Sumerians. But the absence of domestic remains in early interpretations. No homes, no tools for daily life, suggested that Gbasip wasn't a city, but a sanctuary, a place where knowledge was safeguarded through sacred acts. This aligns with the Sumerian practice of embedding technical instructions in myths, as if both cultures understood that stories and stones outlast empires. Yet 2025 revelations challenge this. The discovery of settlements and tools indicates daily life intertwined with ritual. Perhaps a proto-city where stargazing fueled innovation. Controversies persist. Claims of damage during conservation like concrete walkways in 2018 denied by authorities fuel conspiracies of deliberate sabotage. Chetam Coxel Schmidt-Klaus's widow alleged heavy equipment harmed pillars, suggesting a rush to tourism over truth. The silence of Göbekli is deafening. For 8,000 years it lay hidden while civilizations rose and fell. Sumer built its ziggurats. Egypt raised its pyramids. Rome conquered the Mediterranean. Yet none knew of the hill in Turkey that predated them all. Schmidt, standing among the pillars in his final excavation season, felt the weight of that silence. The site was a message carved with a purpose we can't fully decipher. Its builders knew something about the fragility of human achievement, the ease with which knowledge can be lost. They built Göbekli to endure not just as a temple but as a library in stone, encoding wisdom in symbols and alignments that could survive millennia. What haunts modern researchers is the possibility that Göbekli isn't unique. Other sites like Karahi, also in Turkey and dated to a similar period, show comparable sophistication. Dr. Nikmi Karu excavating Karahan in 2025 found smaller T-shaped pillars and enclosures suggesting a regional tradition of monumental construction. If multiple sites existed, what else lies buried beneath the Earth's surface, waiting to rewrite our history? The Sumerians, appearing 6,000 years later, share Göbekli's obsession with preservation, tablets buried in vaults, ziggurats aligned with stars, myths of teachers from the sky. Could Sumer have been a continuation of this tradition? Second attempt to rebuild what Göbeklit's builders lost. As the stars wheel above the Turkish hills, Göbekli stands as a challenge to everything we believe about our origins. It whispers of a civilization that knew how to carve stone and read the heavens before humanity was supposed to dream of such things. Its pillars, silent but eloquent, suggest a world where knowledge was a sacred trust, buried against the day when we might forget. But in the shadows of conspiracy, it becomes a stargate, a portal to lost worlds, suppressed powers, and cosmic catastrophes. The Pyre Reese maps ice-free Antarctica hints at ancient surveys, perhaps through such gateways. Reddit forums debate. Was it buried to hide a technology that could summon comets or open dimensions in 2025, with new digs uncovering boar statues and calendars? The enigma grows. Listeners of Codex of the Lost, let the enigma of Göbekli carry you into the night. Imagine the hands that shaped these stones, the minds that aligned them with the stars, and the truth they hid beneath the earth. Because somewhere in that ancient silence, a forgotten civilization is waiting to be remembered. This message carved in stone, calling us to uncover what we were never supposed to lose. The Iraqi desert stretches endlessly under a merciless sun, its sands hiding secrets older than memory itself. In the cradle of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers, where humanity's first cities rose like beacons from the dust, a mystery pulses beneath the ruins. Around 3,200 B.C., the Sumerian civilization appeared not as a gradual flowering of human ingenuity, but as a sudden explosion of sophistication that defies every rule of how civilizations are supposed to begin. Cities with engineered streets, writing with complex grammar, mathematics that still governs our clocks. These were not the stumbling steps of a people learning to build a society. They were the confident strides of a culture that seemed to know exactly what it was doing, as if following a blueprint drawn by hands no longer visible. Could it be a blueprint from beyond? Perhaps from a lost civilization like Atlantis, or even from the stars themselves. In 1922, Dr. Charles Leonard Woolley stood in a trench at his boots sinking into the sun-war-armed earth. As one of Britain's foremost archaeologists, Woolley had spent years excavating the remains of ancient Mesopotamia, expecting to find the gradual layers of humanity's first attempts at civilization. Crude pottery, collapsed walls, the archaeological poetry of trial and error. But what he uncovered was something else entirely. 6 feet beneath the surface, where he anticipated scattered bones and primitive tools, he found perfection. Streets laid out in precise grids, their angles so exact they could have been drawn with a modern compass. Drainage systems engineered with mathematical precision, channeling water through clay pipes that still functioned after 4 millennia. Walls that stretched for hundreds of yards, their foundations cut deep into bedrock with a confidence that spoke of builders who had never known failure. Woolley held a clay tablet in his hands, its cuneiform wedges cataloging grain shipments and livestock with the efficiency of a modern spreadsheet. This was supposed to be one of humanity's first cities. Yet, it looked like the work of a culture that had been practicing for centuries. The shock was not an isolated discovery. Across the Mesopotamian plain from Uruk to Eridu to Dnieper, archaeologists uncovered cities that seemed to spring into existence fully formed. Uruk, a metropolis that housed nearly 80,000 people by 200 B.C., boasted specialized districts for craftsmen, merchants, and priests. Monumental ziggurats rose from its center, their stepped sides climbing toward the sky with an architectural audacity that should have taken generations to refine. Administrative archives recorded legal proceedings so complex they rivaled modern court systems. Schools trained young scribes in standardized curricula, their clay tablets filled with mathematical tables and literary compositions. Workshops produced goods with industrial-level quality control, their specifications so precise they suggested a mastery of production techniques. Woolley, sketching these finds in his tent by lamplight, felt a growing unease. Civilizations don't emerge like this. They stumble, they falter, they leave behind the debris of their mistakes. But Suma's earliest layers showed no such debris, only a blueprint executed with uncanny precision. The absence of a developmental phase is what haunts archaeologists most. Every other ancient culture leaves a trail of learning in the earth. In Egypt, pre-dynastic villages evolve into the unified kingdom over centuries with crude mud huts giving way to stone temples. In China, Neolithic settlements gradually develop into the Shang dynasty, their pottery and tools showing steady improvement. Even earlier Mesopotamian cultures like the Ubaid show a slow progression from scattered hamlets to larger communities. But Suma breaks this pattern. Its cities appear with sophisticated infrastructure from the start, as if someone had pressed a switch and activated a fully designed society. Dr. Harriet Crawford, an expert on Sumerian archaeology at Cambridge in 1985, noted that the earliest layers at Uruk contain irrigation channels with locks and gates engineered to distribute water across vast fields. These weren't experimental ditches, but systems that required advanced hydraulic knowledge. Where were the failed attempts, the collapsed canals, the archaeological evidence of a culture learning to manage water? Recent excavations as of 2025 continue to underscore this abruptness. In March 2025, a team from the University of Bologna and the Iraqi State Board of Antiquities announced new findings at Tel Sawan, a site predating Suma, revealing early farming communities, but nothing bridging to Suma's urban leap. Reports from the British Museum's ongoing digitization project updated in July 2025 highlight tablets from Dnieper showing no transitional scripts, only polished cuneiform. These updates, detailed in Archaeology magazine's summer issue, fueled debates. Was Sumer a spontaneous genius or a reconstruction from forgotten blueprints? The tablets Woolley unearthed deepened the mystery. One cataloged as 192,716 Mauritanian Uguias recorded tax records in neat columns detailing grain allocations with a bureaucratic efficiency that wouldn't be out of place in a modern office. The cuneiform script was not a collection of tentative scratches, but a standardized system with grammatical rules and a vocabulary capable of expressing complex legal and mathematical concepts. Dr. Samuel Noah Kramer, studying similar tablets in 1956, described the script as surgically clean, showing no signs of the evolutionary debris expected in a new writing system. Languages typically begin with grunts and gestures, evolving into words and then grammar over generations. Writing systems leave even clearer traces of trial and error. Crude pictographs becoming abstract symbols. Simple marks growing into syllabic scripts. But Suma's cuneiform appeared fully formed, as if its scribes were following a manual they hadn't written themselves. Kramer, in the dim archives of the University of Pennsylvania, felt a chill as he realized that humanity's oldest writing system showed no signs of being young. The mathematics of Sumer tells a similar story. Their base 60 system still used in our division of hours, minutes, and degrees, was not a practical counting method developed from tallying sheep. It was a theoretical framework capable of handling complex fractions and large numbers with an elegance that modern mathematicians admire. Dr. Elenina Robson, examining tablet YBC 7289 at Oxford in 2005, found annotations demonstrating the Pythagorean theorem and square root calculations 1,000 years before Pythagoras. The system's design was so perfect for astronomical and geometric applications that it suggests minds that understood abstract principles long before the Renaissance rediscovered them. Robson, staring at the tablet's precise wedges, wondered why base 60. Most numerical systems arise from human anatomy. Base 10 from fingers. Base 20 from fingers and toes. Base 60, with its 12 devices, feels engineered for purposes beyond the Sumerians' immediate needs, as if inherited from a source that already knew its applications. In 2025, new analyses from the Max Planck Institute using AI to model Sumerian math confirm its non-local origins patterns matching those in Indus Valley scripts, hinting at shared ancient sources. This fuels speculation. Was base 60 a gift from beyond? A blueprint encoded for future tech like GPS? The astronomical knowledge of Suma is equally perplexing. Their observers tracked planetary movements with an accuracy that seems impossible without instruments. They knew Venus was a single planet, whether it appeared as the morning or evening star, a realization that eluded the Greeks until the 6th century BCE. They predicted eclipses and calculated celestial cycles with mathematical precision as seen in the Venus tablet of Amiaduca. Dr. The Hermann Hunger, studying these records in Vienna in 1998, found that Sumerian calculations of the synodic month 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 3 seconds differed from modern measurements by less than half a second. This precision achieved with water clocks and naked-eye observation suggests a knowledge base that should have taken centuries to accumulate. Yet the earliest Sumerian astronomical texts show no crude precursors. No tentative observations refined over time. They begin with mastery, as if someone had handed them a star chart and said, "Build your world around this." The ziggurats, those towering stepped pyramids, embody this sudden sophistication. Dr. Margaret Whitney, standing at the base of the ziggurat in 2010, noted its precise cardinal alignment with corners pointing north, south, east, and west. The structure's staircases faced specific celestial rising points, and its proportions followed geometric ratios that encoded astronomical cycles. These were not random temples, but instruments of observation built to track the heavens with a precision that accounted for axial precession. A phenomenon so subtle it requires centuries of data to detect. Whitney's surveys revealed that ziggurats across Sumer followed the same design, as if every city received the same architectural plans. The repetition spanning centuries and cities suggests a cultural obsession with fidelity, as if the builders feared deviating from a pattern they couldn't explain. The Sumerian myths offer clues to this sudden emergence. Their creation stories don't describe a gradual rise from savagery, but a deliberate transfer of knowledge. The Anunnaki, those who came down from heaven, are portrayed as teachers delivering the cosmic principles that included writing, mathematics, and engineering. Dr. Sarachin, analyzing Enki and the World Order at Yale in 2015, found that Enki's instructions were startlingly specific. Canal depths, brick ratios, legal protocols. This wasn't mythology, but a curriculum encoded in stories to ensure its survival. Chun wondered if the Sumerians were preserving memories of real instructors, perhaps an advanced human culture, or something stranger whose knowledge they inherited but didn't fully understand. The word me itself, meaning divine decrees or cosmic laws, suggests something recovered, not invented, as if Sumer was rebuilding from fragments of a lost whole. The archaeological silence beneath Suma's cities is perhaps the most troubling clue. In the deepest layers, where we expect to find the ancestors of their civilization. Crude tools, early settlements. There is nothing. Not the natural emptiness of uninhabited places, but a deliberate absence, as if someone had swept the record clean. Dr. John Brennan, excavating at Eridu in 2018, described it as walking into a house where the family photos had been removed, leaving only faint outlines on the walls. The Sumerians themselves seemed aware of this void. Their myths speak of a world before the flood, a time of greater knowledge that was nearly lost. The Atrahasis describe Zusudra, a survivor chosen to preserve the me through a deluge that resets civilization. Brennan, sifting through flood layers dated to 900 BCE, found evidence of a cultural disruption. Sophisticated settlements replaced by simpler ones. Yet the Sumerians who rebuilt afterward wielded knowledge far beyond what survivors should possess, as if they were working from a partial blueprint. This absence of precursors raises a chilling possibility. What if Sumer wasn't humanity's first civilization, but its first reconstruction? The Ubaid culture, predating Sumer by centuries, shows gradual development, but its villages are modest compared to Suma's sudden urban explosion. Could Sumer have inherited its systems from a culture that vanished, leaving only myths and buried tablets? The parallels with Beklit 6,000 years earlier are striking. That Turkish site with its carved pillars and astronomical alignments suggests a pre-agricultural society with advanced knowledge buried deliberately to preserve it. Dr. Klaus Schmidt, reflecting on Göbekli in 2019, wondered if its builders were the Sumerians' distant predecessors. Their knowledge passed down through oral traditions until cuneiform could capture it. The Sumerians' obsession with preservation tablets buried in vaults. Ziggurats built to last millennia mirrors this earlier act of burial, as if both cultures feared the same fate: oblivion. Now let's delve into the speculative depths where Suma's rise becomes a blueprint from beyond, perhaps from the legendary Atlantis or submerged wonders like Dvarka. Plato's Atlantis, described in Tmus and Critias as a naval power sunk 9,000 years before Solon, around 9,600 BC. Shares Sumer's traits: advanced metallurgy, canals, and astronomy. Edgar Casey's psychic readings claimed Atlantis fell due to misused crystals, its survivors seeding Egypt and Sumer. Could Sumsum be Atlantan tech? The Anunnaki as Atlantean refugees. Dvarka off India's coast, dated to 7,500 BCE by Marine Archaeology. In 2025, updates from the National Institute of Oceanography reveals submerged streets and artifacts mirroring Sumer's grids. Carbon dating of wooden structures confirms a flood around 3000 BCE, echoing Sumer's deluge. Conspiracy forums suggest Dwarker's blueprint was shared via ancient mariners, a global network predating Sumer. The Dune tribe's serious knowledge adds intrigue. In Marley, the Dune describes Sirius B, a white dwarf invisible without telescopes, attributing it to Namo, fish-like beings from the sky. Robert Temple's The Sirius Mystery, 1976, links this to Egyptian and Sumerian law. Enki as a water god paralleling Namo. Could the Dune preserve a Presumia blueprint? Sirius alignments in Basip and Sumer's Venus tablet hinting at stellar origins. In 2025, AI analyses from NASA's Exoplanet Archive compare Sumerian star charts to modern data, revealing accuracies suggesting external input. Conspiracy theories posit a blueprint from beyond. Anunnaki or Atlantean tech downloaded via psychic means or portals. The global context deepens the mystery. Other ancient civilizations like Egypt and the Indus Valley show developmental phases. But Sumer stands alone in its abruptness. Yet their myths echo Sumer's tales of sky teachers Thoth in Egypt, the Akalu in Mesopotamia, the seven sages in India. These stories, separated by vast distances, suggest a shared memory of knowledge delivered from above. Dr. Amanda Stelza, studying comparative mythology in Chicago in 2020, noted that these teacher figures often arrive after a catastrophe as if tasked with rebuilding. Could Sumer have been the first to record this memory in writing, preserving a truth that other cultures kept only in song and story? The Enuma Elish describes the Anunnaki establishing order from chaos, not creating but restoring. This language of reconstruction feels like a confession, as if the Sumerians knew they were not inventors but inheritors. The implications are staggering. If Sumer emerged from a lost source, how much of human history lies buried beneath our assumptions? The Sumerians built cities, wrote laws, and mapped the stars with a confidence that suggests they were following instructions. But whose? The silence of the archaeological record offers no answers. Only questions that linger like the desert wind. Dr. Woolley, standing in ruins, felt the weight of that silence. A deliberate quiet, as if the past had been erased to hide something too vast to comprehend. The Sumerians left us their cities, their tablets, their myths, but also a warning. Knowledge is fragile, and civilizations can vanish, leaving only echoes of what they knew. The air in the basement archives of the University of Pennsylvania is cool and still, heavy with the scent of ancient clay. Rows of shelves stretch into the shadows, cradling thousands of tablets inscribed with wedge-shaped marks that whisper secrets from a world long gone. These are the cuneiform tablets of Sumer, humanity's first attempt at written communication. Pressed into wet clay around 200 B.C. But as Dr. Samuel Noah Kramer stood in this subterranean vault in 1956, his fingers tracing the precise incisions of a tablet catalogued as 192,718 Mauritanian Ugiyas, he felt a shiver that wasn't from the chill. The script before him wasn't the crude scribbles of a civilization learning to write. It was a masterpiece, a fully formed system of grammar, syntax, and vocabulary that seemed to emerge from nowhere. The Sumerians didn't invent writing as much as they inherited it, as if their cuneiform was not a new creation, but a backup drive, preserving knowledge from a source lost to time. Could it be a deliberate archive from the stars or a hidden code suppressed by modern powers? Kramer, a pioneer in Sumerology, had spent decades deciphering these tablets, coaxing meaning from their wedge-shaped marks. Each tablet was a window into the Sumerian world tax records, legal contracts, hymns, and mathematical tables, all written with a precision that defied explanation. The tablet in his hands recorded a grain transaction between merchants in ancient. Its columns organized with bureaucratic efficiency, its language dense with technical terms and legal clauses. The cuneiform script, named for the Latin cuneus meaning wedge, was not a tentative experiment but a sophisticated technology for capturing human thought. Its symbols pressed into clay with a reed stylus followed grammatical rules so complex they could rival a modern linguistics textbook. Kramer set the tablet down, his heart racing. How does a civilization invent perfection on its first try? The question gnawed at him, growing louder with each tablet he translated, whispering that cuneiform wasn't humanity's first writing system. It was its first attempt to save something far older. The conventional story of writing's origin is neat and logical. A tale told in every archaeology classroom. Around 200 B.C., Sumerian merchants, faced with increasingly complex trade, needed to track transactions. Simple pictographs representing objects like grain or cattle evolved into abstract symbols, then into sounds, and finally a full writing system. It's a tidy narrative suggesting a gradual progression from crude marks to sophisticated script. But the archaeological record tells a different story. Dr. Denise Schmant-Besserat, studying Mesopotamian artifacts in the 972nd, found early clay tokens used for counting. But these were sporadic, inconsistent, and bore no clear developmental link to cuneiform for complexity. The earliest cuneiform tablets, like those from Uruk, aren't primitive scratches. They're standardized records complete with mathematical calculations, legal terminology, and narrative poetry. Kramer, pacing the archive's dimly lit corridors, saw no evolutionary debris, no failed experiments, no transitional forms. Cuneiform appeared fully realized, as if someone had downloaded an entire linguistic operating system into Sumerian consciousness. The sophistication of ununiform is staggering. The script could express everything from mundane accounting to cosmic mythology. Its symbols adaptable to multiple languages. Sumerian, Akkadian, Hittite. Dr. Irving Finkel, a cuneiform expert at the British Museum in 2018, described it as a universal technology capable of recording complex ideas with a clarity that survived millennia. One tablet, catalogued as BM 145793, contained a legal dispute over water rights in Lagash. Its syntax flawless. Its vocabulary precise enough to handle negotiations involving multiple parties and standardized measurements. Another, from the edge of the Sumerian tablet houses or schools, showed students memorizing thousands of lines of text from multiplication tables to religious hymns. These weren't exercises in experimentation, but in preservation, as if the scribes were tasked with safeguarding a system they didn't create. Finkel, holding a tablet in the museum's vault, felt a chill. The script's elegance suggested a confidence born of experience, not invention. The Sumerians themselves seemed to know their writing was not their own. Their myths described cuneiform as a gift from the Anunnaki, those who came down from heaven. In the Enki and the world order, the god Enki bestows writing as part of the cosmic principles that govern civilization. The word's meaning to write also carries connotations of to place in order and to remember, as if writing was a tool for preserving something sacred. Dr. Sarah Chin, a comparative religion scholar at Yale in 2015, noted that these myths don't portray writing as an invention, but as a recovery, a restoration of knowledge nearly lost. The Enuma Elish describes Enki teaching scribes to press their style into clay with care, as if the act was a ritual to prevent forgetting. Chun, poring over translations, began to see cuneiform as a cultural immune system designed to protect essential information through the chaos of time. This idea of preservation takes on new weight when we consider the tablet's physical form. Clay-baked or sun-dried is one of the most durable mediums known to humanity. Unlike papyrus or parchment, which decay, or digital files, which require technology, clay tablets can survive millennia buried in desert sand. Dr. Amanda Stelza, studying Sumerian literature at the University of Chicago in 2020, marveled at the foresight of this choice. The Sumerians created redundant copies of their texts, distributing them across cities like Uruk, Nippur, and Eridu. When the Royal Library of Ashurbanipal burned in 612 B.C., the flames didn't destroy the tablets. They baked them, preserving works like the Epic of Gilgamesh, like pottery in a kiln. Stelza, examining fragments in the Oriental Institute, realized that this durability was no accident. The Sumerians understood the fragility of knowledge. building a system to outlast empires, floods, and fires. But what were they so desperate to preserve? The content of the tablets offers clues beyond administrative records. Cuneiform captured mathematical treatises, astronomical observations, and technical manuals. One tablet catalogued as YBC 7289 contains a geometric diagram with calculations of the Pythagorean theorem 1,000 years before Pythagoras. Another from Nippur details herbal remedies and surgical procedures reflecting a medical knowledge that rivals later Greek texts. Dr. Eleanor Robson, analyzing these tablets at Oxford in 2005, found that Sumerian scribes used cuneiform to encode complex numerical systems, including base 60 mathematics that underpins our modern clocks and GPS. These weren't the rough notes of a culture learning to calculate. They were the polished records of a system already perfected. Robson, staring at the tablet's precise wedges, wondered if the Sumerians were transcribing knowledge they had been taught, not discovered. The absence of earlier writing systems deepens the mystery. In other cultures, writing evolves gradually. Egypt's hieroglyphs trace back to simpler pictographs. China's oracle bones show a progression from basic marks. But beneath Sumer's earliest tablets, there is nothing. No crude prototypes. No experimental symbols. Dr. John Brennan, excavating at Eridu in 2018, described the deepest layers as surgically clean, as if someone had erased the evidence of cuneiform's origins. This absence mirrors the broader silence beneath Suma's cities, where no primitive settlements or failed experiments precede their urban sophistication. Brennan, sifting through the sand, felt as if he was standing in a house where the blueprints had been removed, leaving only the finished structure. The Sumerians' own myths hint at this erasure, describing a world before the flood, a time of greater knowledge that was nearly lost, preserved only through the efforts of survivors like Zusra. The flood myths found in texts like the Atresis suggest that ununiform was part of a deliberate effort to safeguard knowledge through catastrophe. The Anunnaki in these stories select Zudra to carry the me, the principles of civilization through a deluge that resets the world. Archaeological evidence supports a localized flood around 2900 BCE with silt layers at Shurip Park in Kish, marking a cultural disruption. Dr. Margaret Whitney, studying these layers in 2010, noted that the Sumerians who rebuilt afterward wielded knowledge far beyond what survivors of a catastrophe should possess. Their tablets buried in vaults beneath ziggurats seemed designed to endure such disasters, as if the scribes knew their civilization could fall. Whitney, standing in the ruins felt the weight of their foresight. A culture that wrote not to create but to prevent loss. The global parallels add another layer to the enigma. Other ancient cultures developed writing systems, but none match cuneiform's sudden sophistication. Egypt's hieroglyphs, appearing centuries later, show a clear evolution from pictographs. The Indus Valley script, still undeciphered, lacks the complexity of cuneiform for grammar. Yet, Sumerian myths share themes with these cultures. Teachers from the sky, knowledge delivered after a great flood. Dr. Andrew Collins, studying comparative mythology in 2014, proposed that these stories might reflect a shared memory of a lost source, a civilization that seeded writing across the ancient world. The Sumerians, as the first to record these tales in cuneiform, may have preserved the clearest echo of this source, their tablets acting as a backup drive for a knowledge system that predates recorded history. The technical precision of cuneiform tablets suggests a purpose beyond communication. Many contain what appear to be encoded instructions. A tablet from Lagash catalogued as BM 123456 describes the construction of a canal specifying angles, depths, and water flow rates with mathematical accuracy. Another from Euro outlines astronomical observations tracking Venus's cycle with a precision that modern astronomers use to calibrate ancient chronologies. Dr. Sarah Chun, analyzing these texts in 2015, saw them as more than records. They were manuals designed to guide future generations in rebuilding what was lost. The Sumerian schools, or Eduba, reinforced this preservation, training scribes to memorize vast corpora of texts from legal codes to star charts. Chun, in her Yale office, began to see form as a cultural firewall protecting knowledge against the fires of time. Yet much of this knowledge was lost. Dr. Irving Finkel in the British Museum's vault in 2018 estimated that less than 20% of recovered cuneiform tablets have been fully translated. Thousands remain in storage, their secrets locked in unread wedges. The destruction of Sumerian libraries at Uruk, Nippur, Eridu by fire, conquest or neglect erased countless texts. When Nineveh fell in 612 CE, the burning of Ashurbanipal's library preserved some tablets by baking them, but others crumbled to dust. Finkel, holding a fragmented tablet, felt a quiet rage at the scale of the loss. For every surviving text, dozens more vanished, leaving gaps in our understanding of Sumer's origins. The untranslated tablets sitting in museum vaults might hold the key to cuneiform's true purpose. A purpose the Sumerians hinted at in their myths, calling their writing a gift from the Anunnaki, a tool to remember what humanity was never meant to forget. Now, let's plunge into the conspiratorial depths where cuneiform transforms from ancient script to a cosmic backup drive with hidden agendas. Fringe theorists whisper that the wedges encode activation codes for lost technologies, perhaps anarchy devices or Atlantean crystals. In the Enuma Elish, Enkis may include forces that could be interpreted as energy blueprints suppressed by modern elites fearing their power. Imagine what if cuneiform is a programming language for ancient AI or quantum gates. Its base 60 math key to unlocking dimensions. Forums like Above Top Secret claim untranslated tablets in the British Museum hold decryption keys guarded to prevent mass awakening. A 2025 controversy amplifies this. AI translations from Google's DeepMind project revealed patterns in cuneiform resembling binary code. But results were pulled amid national security concerns. Conspiracy podcasters link this to the Vatican archives, allegedly holding pristine Sumerian tablets smuggled during the Renaissance. Their contents revealing cuneiform as a cosmic drive for interdimensional travel. Edgar Casey's readings spoke of Atlantean records in Egypt, and Yucatan echoed in Suma's Me, perhaps a shared backup against global resets. Global parallels fuel the fire. The Rangorongo script of Easter Island, undeciphered and abrupt, mirrors cuneiform suddenness, hinting at a Pacific blueprint. The Dune Sigi ceremonies encode serious data without writing, as if oral backups to Sumer's clay. In 2025, NASA's James Webb Telescope detected exoplanets matching Sumerian descriptions, sparking theories of stellar origins encoded in wedges. The silence of those untranslated tablets is deafening. It echoes the silence beneath Sumer cities where no earlier scripts or cultures bridge the gap to cuneiform's complexity. Dr. Klaus Schmidt, reflecting on Gbesite in 2019, saw a parallel in its buried stones. A site 6,000 years older than Sumer that also appeared without precursors. Could Gabasip's carvings, with their astronomical alignments and symbolic figures, be a proto-writing system, a precursor to cuneiform's wedges? The Sumerians' obsession with preservation, burying tablets encoding knowledge in myths, mirrors Göbeklid's burial, suggesting a shared fear of loss. Perhaps cuneiform was not an invention, but a reinvention. A system designed to capture a legacy that was already fading when the first stylus touched clay. As the archive's lights dim, the tablets sit in their climate-controlled silence, their wedges sharp against the clay. They are more than relics. They are a message written by a civilization that understood the fragility of knowledge. The Sumerians, with their perfect cities and star charts, didn't stumble into writing. They wielded it like a weapon against oblivion, preserving a truth we can only glimpse in fragments. But in the shadows of conspiracy, Ununiform becomes a cosmic backup drive. its codes waiting to unlock forbidden powers. The elites may suppress it, fearing what we'd become if we remembered. The night sky above ancient Mesopotamia in 200 B.E. was a canvas of infinite darkness, untainted by the glow of modern cities. Thousands of stars pierced the blackness, each a silent mystery beckoning the Sumerians who gazed upward from the flat rooftops of their mud-brick homes. Without telescopes, compasses, or even the concept of the wheel, they mapped the heavens with a precision that defies explanation, recording observations so accurate they rival modern calculations. Their star charts etched into clay, tracked planets, and predicted eclipses with a sophistication that seems impossible for a civilization just learning to write. How did they see what they saw? And who taught them to read patterns in the sky that would take other cultures millennia to discern? Could their knowledge be a gift from extraterrestrial visitors or a forbidden science suppressed through the ages? In 1998, Dr. Hermann Hunger stood in the quiet of Vienna's Academy of Sciences, his hands trembling as he held a photograph of a tablet catalogued as VAT 4956. This Babylonian artifact copied from older Sumerian records contained an astronomical diary for the year 568 B.C. detailing planetary positions, lunar phases, and stellar configurations. But what stopped Hunger's breath wasn't its age. It was its accuracy. The tablet recorded the synodic month, the time between successive full moons, as 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 3 seconds. Modern astronomy places it at 29 days, 12 hours, 44 minutes, and 9 seconds, a difference of less than half a second, achieved by a people using water clocks and shadows. This precision suggested a knowledge base far beyond their tools. Hunger, staring out at the Vienna skyline, felt a vertigo that mirrored the awe of those ancient stargazers who seemed to see infinity with nothing but their eyes and clay. The Sumerians' astronomical achievements were not isolated anomalies. Their earliest records from around 200 B.C. show a mastery of celestial mechanics that should have taken centuries to develop. They distinguished planets from stars, recognizing that Venus, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn followed unique paths across the sky. They understood Venus as a single entity, whether it appeared as the morning or evening star, a realization that eluded the Greeks until the 6th century B.C. The Venus tablet of Ammi-Saduqa, copied from Sumerian sources, tracked its 584-day cycle with data so precise that modern astronomers use it to anchor ancient chronologies. Dr. Hunger, cross-referencing these tablets with modern software, found that Sumerian eclipse predictions matched observations within fractions of a degree. How could a civilization supposedly in its infancy achieve such accuracy without instruments we associate with advanced astronomy? The tablets themselves are a marvel of precision. One catalogued as K2669 in the British Museum describes Saturn's rings as handles and Jupiter's moons as family members, details barely discernible without magnification. Another, from Nieper records the precession of the equinoxes, a slow wobble of Earth's axis that shifts stellar positions over centuries. Dr. Margaret Whitney, studying these texts in 2010, calculated that the ziggurat of was aligned to stellar positions as they appeared 4,000 years ago. Accounting for this precession, the Sumerians' ability to detect such subtle shifts suggests observations spanning generations. Yet their earliest records show no crude precursors, no tentative star charts refined over time. Whitney, standing atop the ziggurat's weathered steps, felt a chill. These were not the notes of amateurs, but the records of experts, as if someone had handed them a manual for mapping the cosmos. The Sumerians' base 60 mathematics underpinned their astronomy, providing a framework so elegant it still governs our measurement of time and space. 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 360 degrees in a circle. These are Sumerian legacies encoded in clay tablets that calculated planetary orbits with startling accuracy. Dr. Eleanor Robson examining tablet YBC 7289 at Oxford in 2005 found annotations that computed angular measurements and fractional cycles. Techniques that anticipated modern trigonometry. The base 60 system with its 12 divisor allowed precise division of celestial arcs without the messy fractions that plague other numerical systems. Robson tracing the tablet's wedges wondered why base 60 most counting systems arise from human anatomy. Base 10 from fingers, base 20 from fingers and toes. Base 60 feels engineered, as if designed by minds that understood astronomical calculations long before the Sumerians pressed their first tablet. The ziggurats, those towering stepped pyramids, were more than temples. They were observatories. Dr. Whitney in her 2010 survey of ziggurat noted its cardinal alignment with corners pointing precisely north, south, east, and west. Its staircases faced specific celestial rising points, and its upper platform offered an unobstructed view of the sky. Designed to track planets and stars. The ziggurat at Eridu, which the Sumerians claimed was the first city ever built, contained 17 construction layers, each following the same astronomical plan, as if preserving a sacred blueprint. Whitney's laser scans revealed that the ziggurat's proportions encoded mathematical ratios tied to celestial cycles, suggesting a purpose beyond ritual. These structures were instruments built to measure the cosmos with a precision that implied inherited knowledge. Sumerian myths weave astronomy into their worldview, portraying the heavens as a divine realm governed by the Anunnaki. In the Enuma Elish, the creation epic, the god Marduk organizes the stars and planets, establishing cosmic order from chaos. Enki, the god of wisdom, is associated with the Abzu, the freshwater abyss, but also with celestial knowledge, as if linking underground waters to the starry depths. The Malipin tablets, a series of astronomical texts from the 7th century B.C., but rooted in Sumerian traditions, list constellations, planetary paths, and seasonal markers with a detail that served both practical farming and ritual purposes. These myths don't treat the stars as distant lights, but as active participants in human fate with omens derived from eclipses and alignments guiding kings and priests. One of the most intriguing artifacts is the Babylonian map of the world etched on a clay tablet from Sippar around 700 BCE, depicting the known world surrounded by a bitter river and distant regions including mythical places beyond the horizon. But embedded in Sumerian astronomy are hints of a broader cosmos, references to the seven heavens or layered spheres predating Ptolemy's geocentric model. Cylinder seals like VA243, as discussed earlier, may depict a heliocentric system with the sun central and planets orbiting, a concept revolutionary for its time. Drifting into the speculative. What if Sumerian astronomy was stargazing beyond the stars as science taught by extraterrestrial visitors? Zechariah Sitchin argued the Anunnaki provided this knowledge. Their Nibiru orbit, explaining precise cycles. But conspiracy circles whisper of psychic or technological aids. Crystals amplifying visions or alien scopes. The Dune tribes. Sirius B knowledge parallels Sumer's Venus tracking, suggesting a shared stellar source. In Mesoamerica, Mayan calendars echo Sumerian precision with Quetzalcoatl as a sky teacher akin to Enki. Recent discoveries amplify the enigma. In July 2025, a study translated a fragmentary Sumerian myth around 400 years old, revealing celestial motifs tied to lunar cycles and divine interventions. This myth, detailed in F. or comma, describes gods aligning stars for human guidance, hinting at lost astronomical law. A 500-year-old Sumerian star map housed in the British Museum records a massive asteroid impact as reported in June 2025 on Instagram's Archaeology Saw. This tablet observed by a Sumerian astronomer align with Bakhlit's comet carvings suggesting ancient sky watchers tracked cosmic threats. In May 2025, a Facebook post on Sumerian artifacts claimed depictions of a detailed solar system map with the sun at the center thousands of years before Copernicus. For newly deciphered Old Babylonian tablets from January-February 2025 in Archaeology magazine contain the earliest omens related to lunar eclipses rooted in Sumerian traditions. These omens predict events from celestial signs blending astronomy with prophecy. Conspiracies swirl. Why suppress these? Theorists claim elites hide Sumerian star knowledge, fearing it reveals alien contact or predictive powers. A 2025 AI analysis of tablets uncovered patterns resembling quantum equations pulled from publication amid controversy. Links to the Vatican archives suggest hidden cuneiform star maps guarding secrets of interstellar travel. Global parallels deepen the intrigue. Egyptian astronomy with TH's star wisdom mirrors, Sumer's the Indus Valley seals depict celestial motifs without writing, perhaps an oral backup. In 2025, Iran's discoveries of a pre-Opotamian civilization reveal star align structures potentially seeding Sumer's knowledge. The silence of untranslated tablets haunts us. Estimated 80% unread, their star data locked away. Perhaps they hold codes for navigating beyond the stars. A legacy from Anunnaki teachers. As the Mesopotamian night envelopes you, Sumerian astronomy whispers of a cosmos alive with meaning. Their stargazing pierced veils we've forgotten. Guided by beings from beyond. Recent revelations. The asteroid map. Lunar omens. Solar depictions hint at suppressed truths. Drift now, listeners, into the starry abyss, where ancient eyes saw wonders we're only beginning to rediscover. Let the constellations cradle your dreams. And remember, the stars hold secrets that time cannot erase. The stars twinkle like forgotten jewels above the windswept plains of Wiltshire, where the ancient stones of Stonehenge stand out against the encroaching night. These colossal megaliths erected around 30,000 BC rise from the earth like fingers pointing to the heavens, their massive sars weighing up to 50 tons each, aligned with the solstices in a dance of light and shadow that has puzzled humanity for millennia. But Stonehenge is not alone in its enigma. Across the globe, from the sun-baked plateau of Giza in Egypt to the submerged terraces of Yonaguni off Japan's coast, similar structures whisper of a unified ancient code, a shared blueprint that defies the boundaries of time and ocean. These global megaliths, scattered like breadcrumbs from a lost era, challenge our understanding of human history. Were they mere monuments to the dead or part of a vast network? An energy grid encoded with secrets from beyond. Could they be remnants of a suppressed technology guarded by powers that fear their reactivation? Stonehenge, with its iconic circle of standing stones, is perhaps the most famous megalithic site. But its origins remain shrouded in debate. Built in phases from 300 BC to 600 BC. The monument's blue stones were quarried from Wales over 150 miles away, transported without wheels or beasts of burden. A logistical feat that baffles engineers today. Dr. Mike Parker Pearson, leading excavations since 2003, has uncovered evidence of a vast ceremonial landscape, including the nearby Durrington Walls, a wooden henge that may have housed the builders. In his 2012 book, Stonehenge, A New Understanding, Pearson posits it as a unification symbol for Britain's Neolithic peoples, aligned to the winter solstice sunset and summer solstice sunrise. But why such precision? Recent ground-penetrating radar surveys in 2020 revealed a ring of shafts around Durrington, dubbed the Superch, suggesting a larger complex tuned to celestial events. As of 2025, new LiDAR scans from the Stonehenge Hidden Landscapes Project, updated in Archaeology magazine's July issue, show underground features aligning with Luna Standstill's rare 18.6-year cycles. hinting at a deeper astronomical purpose. Across the Mediterranean, the pyramids of Giza stand as eternal guardians, their limestone casings once gleaming under the Egyptian sun. The Great Pyramid built around 580 B.C. for Pharaoh Khufu rises 481 feet. Its base a near-perfect square aligned to true north within a fraction of a degree. Egyptologist Dr. Zahi Hawass in his ongoing excavations has dismissed fringe theories. But anomalies persist. Internal chambers aligned with Orion's belt as proposed by Robert Bovell in the Orion Mystery 1994 and proportions encoding pi and the golden ratio. In 2023, the Scan Pyramids project used muon tomography to detect hidden voids, fueling speculation of undiscovered chambers. A 2025 update from the Egyptian Ministry of Antiquities reported in Live Science on the 15th of July revealed microgravity anomalies suggesting subsurface tunnels, perhaps part of a hydraulic system or ritual paths. But conspiracy theorists see more. The pyramids as power plants harnessing piezoelectric energy from quartz-rich granite. A theory popularized by Christopher Dunn in the Giza Power Plant 1998. Venturing east. The submerged Yunani monument off Okinawa, discovered in 1986, plunges us into oceanic mysteries, dated to around 8000 B.C. by geologist Dr. Masaki Kimura. Its step terraces and right angles resemble man-made ruins, possibly a MW or Lemuran outpost sunk by rising seas post-Younger Dryas. Skeptics like Dr. Robert Schoch attribute it to natural erosion. But 2025 sonar surveys from Japan's Agency for Cultural Affairs detailed in a marine geology paper in June show symmetrical features and tool marks reigniting debates. Yonaguni's turtle formation and stadium align with solstices, mirroring global patterns. Closer to Suma, Beckley's TRs, as we explored earlier, predate all their animal carvings of potential zodiac. But new 2025 finds at nearby Karahipi include phallic symbols and enclosures dated to 9400 B.C. per a Turkish Ministry of Culture press release in April. These new megaliths, elongated skulls, and 3D reliefs suggest a regional code perhaps encoding genetic or cosmic data. In Europe, the Karnak alignments in France over 3,000 standing stones in rows spanning miles date to 4,500 B.C. A 2025 study in Antiquity Journal published the 10th of July traces their origins to hunter-gatherer rituals with alignments to lunar extremes. But a groundbreaking paper in Archaeological Prospections May issue used AI to detect buried meanies, revealing a grid-like pattern possibly for energy focusing. Further North Scotland's Calenish stones on the Isle of Lewis erected 5,000 B.C. form a cross aligned to the moon's southern extreme dubbed the Cache or Lunar Goddess. 2025 excavations by the University of Bradford uncovered quartz deposits known for piezoelectric properties, sparking theories of sonic or electromagnetic use in South America. Sacsayhuaman near Cusco, Peru features interlocking stones weighing hundreds of tons fitted without mortar. Inca law attributes it to giants, but carbon dating pushes it to 900 B.C. A 2025 geophysical survey from the Peruvian Ministry of Culture, reported in Andina News on the 20th of March, found underground chambers with acoustic resonances perhaps for rituals or energy amplification. Africa's Nabteplier in Egypt dated to 7,000 B.C. boasts stone circles aligned to Orion and the summer solstice predating Stonehenge. Dr. J. McKim Malville's 2025 update in African Archaeological Review highlights calendar stones tracking cattle migrations. But alignments suggest stellar navigation. Australia's Wurdi Yong, an Aboriginal stone arrangement, aligns to equinoxes, challenging colonial narratives. A 2025 but alignments suggest stellar navigation. Australia's Wurdi Yong, an Aboriginal stone arrangement, aligns to equinoxes, challenging colonial narratives. A 2025 study in rock art research confirms its 11,000-year age, with indigenous elders describing it as a star map. These sites share uncanny traits: astronomical alignments, massive scale without precursors, and durable construction. No gradual evolution. They appear fully formed like Sumer cities. Shared symbols, circles, spirals, anthropomorphic figures hint at a unified code. Now into the conspiratorial abyss. What if megaliths form a world grid? An energy network suppressed by governments. David Hatcher Childress in Anti-Gravity and the World Grid 1987 map sites on ley lines harnessing Tillich currents. Theorists claim they tap zero-point energy free and unlimited, but elites bury this to maintain oil dependency. The Giza-Orion alignment. Yunani's submersion. New 2025 leaks on WikiLeaks. Alleged CIA files on megalithic suppression. Experiments at Stonehenge yielding anomalous EM fields. Halted for security. Reddit's Are High Strange threads discuss Har-like tech mimicking ancient grids, causing earthquakes to hide sites. Graham Hancock's Fingerprints of the Gods, 1995, posits a lost civilization seeding these survivors of 10,000-800 B.C. Cataclysms. A 2025 documentary on Gaia Television claims Antarctic megaliths under ice mapped by Pyri re-suppressed to conceal free energy tech. In Bolivia, Puma Punku's precision-cut stones dated 1,500 B.C., but possibly older feature H-blocks defying bronze tools. Engineer Christopher Dunn suggests magnetic levitation, a tech reverse-engineered today, but hidden. Malta's hypergyme underground megaliths with acoustic chambers amplify 110 Hz frequencies affecting consciousness. A 2025 study in Journal of Archaeological Science found bone anomalies in burials, perhaps from sonic rituals or suppressed mind control tech. Conspiracies extend to modern. The Georgia Guidist erected 1,980 aligned astronomically demolished in 2022 amid satanic claims cover for erasing a modern code. Governments allegedly suppress because activation could shift paradigms. Free energy. Ending wars. Stellar contact revealing origins. Whistleblowers like those in Disclosure Project claim Black Ops study megaliths for anti-gravity. The code symbols as frequencies. Alignments as coordinates for a stellar map. VA 243 solar system links to Giza's shafts pointing to stars. As twilight fades over Wiltshire, megaliths stand as sentinels of a unified code. A grid spanning continents, perhaps powered by Earth and stars. New discoveries. Carrick's AI-mapped grid. Polish pyramids' tombs. Karahan symbols whisper of suppressed wonders. Were they a network to contact the beyond guarded by shadows? The desert sun beats down on the ruins of where the crumbled ziggurat stands as a silent testament to Sumer's vanished glory. Beneath these sands, clay tablets etched with cuneiform whisper of technologies so advanced they blur the line between engineering and enchantment. The Sumerians emerging around 3,200 B.C. described their knowledge as gifts from the Anunnaki. Beings who came down from heaven to teach irrigation, metallurgy, and astronomy. But buried within their myths are hints of devices and techniques that seem impossible for a Bronze Age culture. Systems that powered their cities, aligned their temples with the stars, and perhaps even harnessed energies we've yet to rediscover. Were these the products of human ingenuity, or were they relics of a technology mistaken for magic? Welcome back, listeners of Codex of the Lost, as we unear the artifacts that challenge our reality in this chapter. I am Mr. Your voice in the velvet dark, inviting you to close your eyes and drift with me into the enigma of ancient technology machines mistaken for magic. Could the Sumerians' be blueprints for anti-gravity or energy devices, hinted at in global parallels like Vedic flying machines and Egyptian glowing orbs? And what if modern unexplained aerial phenomena like those seen by Navy pilots in 2004 are rediscovered Anunnaki tech suppressed to keep us in the dark? In 2018, Dr. Amanda Stelza sat in her Chicago office surrounded by translations of Sumerian texts that describe the divine principles delivered by the Anunnaki. One tablet detailed the construction of irrigation canals, specifying precise angles for water flow and materials for durable gates. Another from Uruk described smelting bronze with a recipe that balanced copper and tin to achieve strength unmatched until modern metallurgy. Stelza noticed a peculiar phrase. The Me were often called powers or forces, as if they were not just knowledge, but tools or devices. In a myth, Enki bestows a May for moving water described with terms suggesting a mechanical system, not a simple ditch. Stelza's pulse quickened. Could these myths conceal descriptions of machines, their technical details cloaked in the language of magic to ensure their preservation? The ziggurats themselves hint at advanced technology. In 2010, Dr. Margaret Whitney studied ziggurat and found its mudbrick layers mixed with straw in ratios that maximize stability, a technique requiring chemical knowledge. The structure's alignment with Sirius and its proportions in coding-based 60 mathematics suggest a purpose beyond worship, perhaps as an observatory or even an energy device. Some researchers proposed that ziggurats were power stations channeling cosmic or terrestrial forces, while mainstream scholars dismiss this as fantasy. Whitney noted that the ziggurat's precise construction withstanding millennia of earthquakes implies an engineering prowess that feels almost otherworldly. Standing on weathered platform, she wondered if the Sumerians were using techniques taught by instructors who understood forces we've yet to name. A curious artifact, a clay jar found near Baghdad in 1936, fuels this speculation. This object from a later period, but possibly rooted in Sumerian traditions, contains a copper cylinder and iron rod surrounded by an electrolytic substance. Researchers have noted it could generate a small electric current, suggesting knowledge of electrochemistry. Mainstream scholars argue it was a ritual object, but its design mirrors batteries used in early 20th century experiments. Could the Sumerians or their predecessors have harnessed electricity for plating metals or healing? A myth describes Enki using sparks of life to animate clay, a phrase that hints at a technology mistaken for divine power. Recent experiments have replicated this jar, producing up to half a volt, enough for electrotherapy or basic plating. Some claim it powered religious idols to shock worshippers, imbuing them with divine or, while others suggest it was used for medical treatments or purifying liquids, technologies not officially developed until centuries later. Global parallels deepen the mystery. In Egypt, temple reliefs from around 50 BC depict what some call a glowing orb, a bulb-like object with a filament connected to a power source. These images resemble Sumerian descriptions of glowing orbs held by the Anunnaki in cylinder seals. In India, ancient texts describe vimanas, flying machines powered by mysterious energies, possibly mercury-based engines. Mayan stories mention devices that see the stars, suggesting optical tools. These accounts propose a lost technological tradition shared across ancient cultures, with Sumer's cuneiform preserving its clearest record. The MI described as forces or devices might refer to machines, their details encoded in myths to survive catastrophe. The flood myths provide context. They describe a deluge around 2900 BCE that nearly erased civilization, with a survivor chosen to preserve the Me for rebuilding. Archaeological silt layers confirm this disruption. Yet the Sumerians who followed wielded advanced knowledge base. 60 mathematics, star-line ziggurats that suggests continuity, not reinvention. The MI could be technical manuals, not divine decrees designed to guide reconstruction. The Sumerians' obsession with burying tablets and building durable ziggurats mirrors this effort. as if they feared another loss. Were they safeguarding a technology from a civilization that vanished? Its machines mistaken for magic by those who inherited them. Göbekli, dated to 9,600 B.C., offers a haunting link. Its T-shaped pillars aligned with Sirius suggest a culture with advanced knowledge buried deliberately to preserve it. Excavations have revealed parallels with Sumer's ziggurats, both built to encode cosmic data. Could Göbek's builders have used mechanical systems? Their techniques passed down until Sumer's cuneiform captured them. The absence of crude tools or failed structures at both sites implies a lost technological tradition. Its artifacts erased or misinterpreted. The silence whispers of machines we've learned to call myths. Now, let's plunge into the conspiratorial shadows where the me transform into blueprints for anti-gravity or energy devices. Some theorize the Anunnaki used gold for propulsion mirrored in ancient Indian texts describing flying chariots with mercury engines. The Egyptian light bulb reliefs depict lotus-shaped objects with snake-like filaments interpreted by some as arc lamps powered by battery-like devices. These could be echoes of a global technology. The secrets encoded in Sumer's wedges. Modern unexplained aerial phenomena like the tic-tac-shaped craft encountered by Navy pilots in 2004 could be rediscovered anarchy tech. Declassified military reports describe objects defying physics. Perhaps anti-gravity propulsion reverse-engineered from ancient blueprints. Conspiracy circles claim hidden facilities study Sumerian tablets seeking keys to these technologies suppressed to maintain energy monopolies. Imagine the ziggurats as energy collectors. Their precise alignments tapping to lurid currents or cosmic rays. Some propose their mudbrick cores layered with specific minerals generated zooelectric effects converting pressure into electricity. A Sumerian myth describes flying chariots powered by an inner fire, possibly a metaphor for engines or reactors. Another tale tells of a hero soaring to the heavens on an eagle, a poetic stand-in for a mechanical craft. These stories, dismissed as allegory, might encode real devices, their details veiled to protect sacred knowledge. Global parallels amplify the intrigue. In Bolivia, Pumapunku's precision-cut stones dated to 1,500 B.C., but possibly older feature interlocking blocks too perfect for bronze tools. Some suggest magnetic levitation or sonic cutting. Technologies lost but hinted at in Sumerian me. Malta's underground chambers resonate at frequencies that alter consciousness. Perhaps a mind control device mistaken for ritual. In China, the Yangon quarry's unfinished megaliths weighing thousands of tons suggest advanced lifting methods abandoned after a cataclysm. Conspiracy theories whisper of suppression. Why do only fragments of this knowledge survive? Some claim a secret society. Modern or ancient destroyed evidence to control power. Hidden vaults, perhaps in Antarctica or under the Vatican, may hold pristine tablets detailing anti-gravity or free energy. Recent AI analyses of cuneiform revealed patterns resembling quantum equations. But results were allegedly pulled for security reasons. Could these be blueprints for devices that would upend our world free energy, ending wars or craft-piercing dimensions? Theorists point to the sudden demolition of modern megalithic structures like a mysterious monument erected in 1980 and destroyed in 2022 as proof of a cover-up to erase technological echoes. The loss of Sumerian knowledge underscores this tragedy. Scholars estimate that 80% of cuneiform tablets remain untranslated. Their descriptions of me locked in museum vaults. Libraries at Uruk and Nippur were burned or abandoned. Their technologies lost to conquest or neglect. Holding a fragmented tablet, one feels the weight of this loss. A civilization that hid its machines in stories only to see them fade. Recent discoveries tease at what's gone. Tablets revealing bureaucratic details hint at technical recipes, perhaps for devices or alloys buried in untranslated wedges. The twilight settles over the Mesopotamian desert where the ruins of Suma's cities Uruk, Eridu, Nippur stand as silent witnesses to a civilization that seemed to spring from nowhere around 3,000 200 B.C. Their ziggurats aligned with stars and their cuneiform tablets etched with tales of the Anunnaki hint at a knowledge far beyond their time. But what if Sumer was not an isolated marvel, but part of a vast ancient network that connected distant cultures across oceans and continents? From the carved pillars of Gobis in Turkey to the submerged terraces of Yonaguni in Japan. From Egypt's pyramids to the Indus Valley cities. Striking similarities in myths, symbols, and technologies suggest a global exchange predating recorded history. Could these ancient societies have shared a communication network? A web of knowledge that linked humanity in a forgotten golden age? Could it have been a telepathic grid or a technological web with ziggurats as transmitters and modern signal anomalies like unexplained radio bursts as its lingering echoes? Did ancient humans speak across oceans without words? Their secrets suppressed by those who fear a reconnected world. Imagine ancient ships, not of wood and sail, but of shared dreams and synchronized stars, linking Sumer to distant shores. In the cradle of the Tigris and Euphrates, Sumerians etched their clay with stories of sky teachers, but those tales echo in the pyramids of Giza, where Thoth, the ibis-headed god, delivered writing and measurement from the heavens. Cross the vast Indian Ocean to the Indus Valley, where seals bear symbols of horned deities and trees of life, motifs mirrored in Sumerian cylinder seals. Venture further to Mesoamerica, where the Maya inscribed calendars tracking Venus cycles with precision rivaling Sumer's Venus tablet. These connections aren't coincidences. They suggest a network, a lost internet woven from stone, symbol, and story, transmitting knowledge across barriers we deem impossible. The flood myths offer a key clue. Suma's Atrahasis describes Yosudra surviving a deluge to preserve the May principles of civilization, mirroring stories worldwide. Noah in biblical law, Manu in Indian epics, and the Mayan Popol Vuh's world-ending waters. Archaeological evidence supports floods around 900 B.C. in Mesopotamia with silt layers at Shuruppak. But older disruptions like the Younger Dryas around 800 B.C. suggest a global catastrophe. Rising seas submerging coastal hubs. These myths might preserve memories of a connected world. Its knowledge fragmented by waves, but reassembled through oral chains until stone and clay captured it. Yunani off Japan's coast deepens the oceanic riddle. Its terrace platforms submerged since 8000 B.C. resemble man-made structures, perhaps a Pacific outpost linked to Sumer. Geometric shapes echo Bakliet's pillars and Giza's precision, suggesting maritime routes carried blueprints before floods claimed them. Sumer's Anunnaki myths delivering irrigation and astronomy might reflect this network's legacy. Cuneiform as its final archive. Symbols like the spiral and tree of life appear across these cultures. A visual code for the network. Indus seals depict trees and serpents. Motifs in Sumerian art and Göbeklit's carvings. Egyptian reliefs show the Ankh akin to Suma's tree. Cylinder seal VA243 with its stellar scene shares geometric patterns with Mayan glyphs. These symbols could be a universal language transmitted via the network oral for nomads etched for settlers. The absence of precuneiform writing suggests reliance on this code. Sumer as its literate culmination. Engineering similarities are striking. Bekel's 20-ton pillars. Stonehenge's 50-ton SARS. Giza's 70-ton blocks. All without precursors. Studies propose shared methods. Perhaps acoustic levitation or lost alloys. In Peru, Sacsayhuaman's interlocking stones fit without mortar. A technique echoing Sumerian brickwork. These feats imply a network of builders. Methods passed through generations until Sumer recorded them. The Enigma Elish describes Anunnaki teaching construction the Me as a blueprint for a lost world. The loss of this network's traces is tragic. Sumerian tablets remain mostly untranslated, Potential clues to global ties locked away. Submerged sites like Yanaguni suggest coastal archives drowned. The Sumerians buried tablets fighting Asia. But time prevailed. Now into conspiratorial depths. What if the network was telepathic or technological? Ziggurats as transmitters. Fringe theories posit megaliths as nodes in a grid using Earth's magnetic fields for mind-to-mind communication. Ancient texts describe whispers from afar. Perhaps psychic links. Modern anomalies like the wow signal or fast radio bursts could be echoes. Remnants of the stone internet reactivated by cosmic events. Conspiracies claim suppression. Governments hide the grid to prevent free communication or energy. Ley lines connecting sites like Giza and Nazca suggest a power web tapped for anti-gravity. A supposed 2025 leak from a classified project alleges experiments at Stonehenge yielded telepathic effects. Halted for control reasons. Theorists link this to ancient floods as deliberate resets by elites fearing the network's power. In Antarctica, maps like Pyre rays show ice-free coasts, perhaps surveyed via the network before submersion. Suppressed satellite images allegedly reveal megalithic ruins under ice connected to Sumer via polar routes. The network might have allowed instant knowledge transfer, explaining shared myths without migration. Vedic texts describe mind ships traversing realms, perhaps telepathic extensions of the grid. Mayan crystal skulls said to hold holographic data could be network nodes. They're singing a sonic code. In Africa, Dune star knowledge without tools suggests psychic downloads from the grid. The Anunnaki as coordinators. Myths portray them assigning roles globally, perhaps via the network. Enki's journeys mirror a system admin updating distant nodes suppressed because reactivation could unite humanity, ending divisions profitable to powers. Recent whispers of underwater megaliths off Cuba or India hint at more nodes explored in submersible missions but classified. A global initiative to map ley lines was allegedly shut down in 2024 amid anomalous readings. As stars gleam above Europe's ruins. Echoes of this network linger in Sumer's myths and worldwide megaliths. Sumer may have been the last to record a connected world. Cuneiform its final archive. Was it a telepathic web or stone internet? Its signals still humming in modern bursts. Suppressed or lost. Calls us to reconnect. The British Museum's archive is shrouded in silence at 3 o'clock in the morning. Its climate-controlled vaults guarding thousands of clay tablets that hold the secrets of ancient Sumer. In 2018, Dr. Irving Finkel, a curator with 40 years of experience deciphering cuneiform, stood among these shelves, his flashlight illuminating fragments of the Royal Library of Ashurbanipal. Each tablet etched with wedge-shaped marks was a survivor of a catastrophic fire that consumed Nineveh in 612 B.C. The flames meant to erase the library instead baked the clay, preserving texts like the Epic of Gilgamesh as if in a kiln. But for every tablet that survived, countless others were lost, reduced to ash, scattered by conquest, or abandoned to the desert's embrace. This was no accident but a recurring pattern of destruction, neglect, and deliberate erasure that haunts the story of human knowledge. Could this loss be a calculated act by secret societies preserving only fragments to control the masses? And with recent discoveries peeling back layers of the past, why does so much remain buried, untranslated, and unspoken? Finkel's hands trembled as he held a photograph of a mathematical text from Ashurbanipal's library that calculated planetary orbits with a precision rivaling modern astronomy. The tablet's survival was a miracle, but its fragmented state told a darker story. When Nineveh fell to the Babylonians and Mes, the library, a repository of Sumerian and Attian knowledge, was targeted, its tablets shattered or burned. Finkel estimated that only a fraction of the library's contents survived, with thousands of texts lost forever. Across Mesopotamia, similar losses marked the archaeological record. At Uruk, where cuneiform was born, Entire archive buildings were reduced to rubble, their tablets crushed or dissolved by time. At Dnieper, a religious center, administrative libraries were pillaged, their contents scattered. Eridu, the city Sumerians claimed as the first ever built. Storage rooms stood empty, their shelves broken, their knowledge gone. Finkel, in the archive's dim light, felt a quiet rage at the scale of this loss. A cultural catastrophe that left only fragments of Sumer's genius. The destruction was not always accidental. Dr. John Brennan, excavating at Uruk in 2018, found evidence of deliberate erasure, tablets smashed, archives burned, as if new rulers sought to obliterate the past. When empires fell, their successors often targeted the knowledge of their predecessors, deeming it dangerous or heretical. Religious shifts exacerbated this loss. As new faiths rose, older texts were burned as pagan relics. Dr. Sarah Chun, studying Sumerian myths at Yale in 2015, noted that the transition from Sumerian to Babylonian culture saw the selective copying of texts, with many deemed irrelevant left to decay. Languages too played a role in this erasure. As Sumerian gave way to Akkadian, then Aramaic cuneiform became unreadable, its tablets discarded as worthless clay. Chun, poring over a fragmented hymn, saw this as a kind of cultural Darwinism where only knowledge serving immediate needs survived while deeper wisdom faded into obscurity. The scale of the loss is staggering. Dr. Finkel estimated that less than 20% of recovered cuneiform tablets have been fully translated, with tens of thousands languishing in museum vaults worldwide. These untranslated texts, astronomical treatises, mathematical commentaries, medical manuals, hint at a vast body of knowledge that could rewrite our understanding of Sumer. A tablet from Uruk contains a mathematical table with geometric calculations predating Pythagoras by a millennium. Another from Nippur describes surgical procedures with uncanny detail. Yet these are mere fragments of a larger archive, most of which was lost to fire, conquest, or neglect. Finkel, holding a shattered tablet, felt the weight of what was missing: explanations for Sumer's sudden sophistication, perhaps even the origins of their knowledge. Recent efforts in 2025 have begun to chip away at this veil, but they only underscore the immensity of what's gone. A newly deciphered cuneiform tablet residing in a museum collection reveals a forgotten Sumerian myth about a storm god trapped in the netherworld causing chaos on Earth due to lack of rain. This text, brought to light just weeks ago, conveys a tale that adds layers to our understanding of Sumerian cosmology. But it's one among thousands still waiting. In March, ancient Mesopotamian clay tablets discovered in Iraq detailed everything from scholarly texts to sheep and barley rations dating back to the Akkad period around 300 B.C. These finds show the intricate bureaucracy of an empire, but they also highlight how much administrative and technical knowledge vanished when libraries fell. In January and February, 4 old Babylonian tablets were deciphered, containing the earliest known omens related to lunar eclipses, predictions blending astronomy and prophecy that echo Sumerian roots. Yet, with the overwhelming majority of tablets untranslated, these glimpses feel like drops in a desert teasing at an ocean of lost wisdom. The Sumerians themselves seemed aware of this fragility. Their myths, like the Atrais, describe a flood that nearly erased civilization, with Zusra chosen to preserve the MI principles of writing, law, and engineering through the chaos. Dr. Amanda Stelza, studying these texts in Chicago in 2020, saw them as a deliberate strategy to protect knowledge by encoding technical instructions in sacred stories. The Sumerians ensured their transmission through oral recitation even when physical destroyed. A temple hymn details ziggurat construction with precise measurements, a checklist for builders disguised as poetry. Stelza recognized this as a cultural firewall designed to safeguard wisdom against catastrophe. Yet even this strategy failed when libraries burned, leaving only scattered myths to hint at what was lost. The global parallels deepen the tragedy. The Library of Alexandria, repeatedly damaged by political and religious upheaval, lost countless texts from the ancient world. Mayan codices were burned by Spanish conquistadors who deemed them demonic. Buddhist manuscripts vanished during Chinese imperial purges, and Islamic texts were destroyed in Mongol invasions. Dr. Andrew Collins, studying these losses in 2014, saw a pattern. The past becomes dangerous to the present, so the present erases it. Each destruction followed the same dynamic: knowledge that didn't serve immediate power was discarded. Its repositories burned or abandoned. Collins, comparing Sumerian losses to these later tragedies, wondered how much of human history was lost to this cycle of fire and forgetting, leaving only fragments like a cylinder seal that may depict a heliocentric solar system. Recent archaeological revelations in 2025 echo this theme of rediscovery amid loss. In Guatemala, remains of a nearly 3,000-year-old Mayan complex emerged with sanctuaries and pyramids, revealing a lost city's secrets. In Bolivia, a Tijuanacu temple unearthed shows ancient trade and ritual networks, but much of its context was eroded by time. In North Macedonia, the lost capital of an ancient kingdom surfaced, its ruins whispering of forgotten governance. In the Amazon, ancient garden cities with composted gardens and fisheries have been mapped using 3D technology, uncovering indigenous technologies long thought vanished. These finds, from sunken ships to sacred sites, are rewriting history, but they also remind us of how much was erased. Civilizations like the one in southern Jordan, where a lost Byzantine city resurfaced, or the ancient Andes networks now partially revealed. Each discovery peels back a layer, but the vast unseen archive underscores the scale of what fire, flood, and forgetting have claimed. The Sumerians took extraordinary measures to prevent this loss. They created redundant copies of their tablets, distributing them across cities like Uruk, Nippur, and Eridu. They buried tablets in vaults beneath ziggurats built to withstand time. Their myths, encoded with technical details, were recited in rituals to ensure their survival. Dr. Margaret Whitney, studying ziggurat remains in 2010, found tablets embedded in the walls, their cuneiform preserving astronomical data. This wasn't mere record-keeping, but a desperate attempt to protect knowledge from oblivion. Yet the destruction was relentless. When Adian rulers conquered Sumer, they prioritized their own archives, leaving Sumerian texts to crumble. Whitney, standing in ruins, felt the silence of those lost tablets, a silence that spoke of a civilization's fear realized. The connection to Göbekli 6,000 years earlier is haunting. Dated to 9,600 B.C., its buried pillars suggest a culture that also feared losing its knowledge, preserving it in stone before vanishing. Dr. Klaus Schmidt, excavating Göbekli in 2019, saw its deliberate burial as a parallel to Suma's buried tablets. Both acts of defiance against oblivion. Could Göbekli builders have been the source of Sumer's knowledge? Their legacy passed down through oral traditions until cuneiform captured it. The flood myths describing a deluge that reset civilization might echo this earlier loss with Sumer's tablets, and ziggurats, a second attempt to preserve what was nearly forgotten. Schmidt, among the pillars, felt a silence that whispered of a truth too vast to grasp. This silence is not always intentional concealment, but a byproduct of institutional inertia. Dr. John Brennan, studying Sumerian ziggurats in 2018, noted that interdisciplinary research combining archaeology, linguistics, and astronomy could unlock tablets. But departmental structures discourage such approaches. Funding goes to specialized projects, not risky ventures that cross boundaries. Brennan, sifting through Nippur's sand, saw untranslated tablets as victims of this system. Their secrets ignored because they don't fit academic silos. The result is a kind of systematic forgetting where knowledge is lost not through fire but through bureaucratic neglect. a modern echo of the ancient destructions that erased Sumer's libraries. Now, let's venture into the conspiratorial shadows, where the loss of knowledge becomes a deliberate act by secret societies guarding forbidden truths. Whispers in fringe circles suggest that ancient elites, perhaps descendants of the Anunnaki, targeted libraries to control the masses, preserving only sanitized fragments. The burning of Ashurbanipal's library wasn't mere warfare, but a purge of dangerous me principles that could unlock free energy or psychic abilities. Global parallels fuel this. Alexandria's flames ignited by religious zeal or hidden hands. Mayan codices torched to erase indigenous wisdom. Even modern data wipes in digital archives mirroring ancient eras. In 2025, new tools for translating cuneiform have emerged, promising to unlock these secrets. But progress is slow, almost suspiciously so. A digital initiative aims to transliterate hundreds of thousands of lines. Yet the corpus remains fragmented with AI efforts reportedly stalled amid ethical debates. Conspiracy theorists claim these delays are intentional. Secret societies infiltrating academia to suppress revelations. Imagine untranslated tablets holding codes for anti-gravity or immortality buried in vaults because their release would shatter power structures. Recent finds like a Sumerian myth about a trapped storm god or tablets detailing Adian rations tease at governance and cosmology, but the bulk remains unread perhaps because they reveal a unified ancient code too revolutionary for our time. The implications are profound. If Suma's knowledge was inherited, as their myths suggest, the untranslated tablets could reveal a lost civilization, its wisdom buried in clay. Yet this silence risks repeating history's mistakes, prioritizing comfort over curiosity. How many researchers abandon disruptive discoveries for career stability? The tablets, sitting in vaults, are not hidden, they're ignored. Their potential to rewrite history stifled by a system that rewards conformity. As the museum's vaults grow dark, the tablets sit in silence. Their wedges a testament to a civilization that fought to be remembered. The Sumerians knew their knowledge was fragile. Their libraries one fire away from amnesia. Recent glimpses deciphered myths. Unearthed empires highlight the void. A loss engineered by time or design. Secret societies may orchestrate it, fearing a world where ancient wisdom appends the present. In the dim glow of a Columbia University office at 2 a.m., the hum of a computer screen casts faint light across stacks of notes and ununiformed dictionaries. Professor Elena Kazakova sits hunched over a digital image of a clay tablet, its wedge-shaped marks sharp against the ancient clay. After 15 years deciphering Sumerian texts, she thought she understood the limits of translation. But tonight, a single word Anunnaki stares back at her, defying clarity. Its meaning shifts like sand in the Mesopotamian desert, each interpretation opening a new door to the past while obscuring others. The Sumerian language dead for millennia guards its secrets in ambiguity. Its words a puzzle that may hide the truth about humanity's origins. Were they Anunnaki gods, teachers, or something stranger? The translations offer no certainty, only questions that echo through the silence of a lost world. Could these linguistic veils be deliberate, woven by ancient scribes or modern gatekeepers to conceal extraterrestrial contacts or forbidden technologies? With recent breakthroughs peeling back layers of cuneiform, why do so many ambiguities persist as if the past itself resists revelation? Kazakova's screen displays a tablet from Uruk dated to 200 B.C. Its cuneiform describing the Anunnaki as those who came down from heaven. Traditional scholars render Anunnaki as gods or divine beings, a translation that fits neatly into museum displays and textbooks. But the word's etymology is less certain. Breaking it down, Anu means sky or heaven, and Ki means earth, suggesting offspring of the sky god upon the earth, or even princely seed. Some propose a more literal reading. Those who descended. Kazakova cross-referencing dictionaries finds that each translation shifts the narrative. If gods, the Anunnaki are mythological figures, symbols of divine power. If descendants or visitors, they could be memories of real beings, advanced humans, or as some speculate, extraterrestrial instructors. The ambiguity isn't just linguistic. It's a veil over Suma's history, hiding the truth of who shaped their civilization. The challenge of Sumerian translation lies in its isolation. Unlike Latin or Sanskrit, which left living descendants, Sumerian is a linguistic orphan with no native speakers or oral traditions to clarify its nuances. Its pronunciation is guesswork reconstructed from later Attian borrowings. Its grammar pieced together from fragmented tablets is incomplete. The cultural context, idioms, metaphors, shared assumptions vanished with the civilization itself. Dr. Samuel Noah Kramer, a pioneer in Sumerology in 1956, described translation as archaeology of meaning, an attempt to rebuild a worldview from scattered clues. A single tablet from Lagash describes the Anunnaki convening to govern cities. Traditional translations call this a divine council, but alternative readings suggest a historical meeting of leaders with heaven symbolizing authority, not the sky. Kramer in the University of Pennsylvania's archives felt the weight of this uncertainty. Knowing each choice reshaped Sumer's story. The word me compounds the problem. Often translated as divine decrees, could also mean cosmic laws, cultural programs, or technical instructions. In the Enuma Elish, the me are gifts from the Anunnaki encompassing writing, mathematics, and engineering. Dr. Sarah Chun, analyzing this in 2015 at Yale, saw the MI as encoded knowledge blueprints for canals, ziggurats, and laws. But the term's vagueness allows multiple interpretations, whether me spiritual ideals or practical manuals. Chun, poring over translations, noted that choosing decrees frames the Anunnaki as gods, while instructions suggests teachers. This ambiguity cascades through Sumerian texts, turning the same words into evidence for radically different histories, divine myths, or memories of a lost civilization. Recent breakthroughs in 2025 have highlighted these challenges. Yet, they also underscore how much remains obscured. A newly deciphered Sumerian myth dating back over 4,000 years tells of a storm god trapped in the netherworld causing earthly chaos. This tale, brought to light through advanced imaging techniques, adds depth to Sumerian views on weather and divinity. But its ambiguous phrasing, words that could mean trapped by chains or bound by fate, leaves interpreters debating whether it's a metaphor for natural disasters or a coded warning about cosmic forces. In another find from early 2025, fragments from a Babylonian library revealed omens tied to lunar eclipses, the earliest known such predictions. The language shifts between literal celestial events and symbolic portents, blurring astronomy and prophecy. Translators argue over terms like shadow of the moon, which might describe an eclipse or a divine veil hiding truths. These discoveries, emerging from museum vaults and fresh digs in Iraq, tease at a richer Sumerian world. But they also expose the gaps. A set of tablets unearthed in March detailed administrative records from the Akkad period, including rations and trade. But embedded phrases hint at rituals with hidden meanings untranslated due to contextual loss. The ambiguity persists because Sumerian lacked punctuation or clear word breaks, relying on reader knowledge. Now extinct, modern AI tools applied in 2025 projects have accelerated decipherment. Yet they falter on nuances, idiomatic expressions or puns that might encode double meanings, perhaps intentionally to safeguard esoteric knowledge. The Sumerians' own awareness of this ambiguity is evident in their myths. The Atrahasis describes Enki teaching Zeus Sudra to preserve the me through a flood, as if the act of recording was a defense against loss. Dr. Amanda Stelza, studying this myth in Chicago in 2020, saw cuneiform as a deliberate tool for preservation. Its wedges pressed into durable clay to outlast time. Yet the myths don't clarify terms like Anunnaki or me, assuming a shared understanding among their audience. Stelza, examining a tablet's precise wedges, realized that this shared context died with Sumer, leaving modern translators to fill the gaps with educated guesses. The result is a kind of intellectual colonization where contemporary assumptions, religious, rationalist, or speculative, shaped the past to fit modern frameworks. Academic pressures exacerbate this ambiguity. Careers and grants depend on definitive interpretations. Yet the evidence resists certainty. Dr. Irving Finkel noted that only a fraction of cuneiform tablets have been fully translated, with thousands sitting unread in vaults. A tablet from Nippur describes astronomical observations, but its key terms, potentially indicating advanced knowledge, are debated. Some scholars see divine metaphors. Others see technical descriptions. Finkel felt the frustration of this divide. The pressure to produce clear narratives for museums or journals often leads to conservative translations that avoid disruptive ideas like the Anunnaki as historical figures or the MI as technological blueprints. In 2025, this tension boiled over with a controversy surrounding a newly translated Babylonian tablet containing eclipse omens. Initial reports suggested it predicted not just weather, but societal upheavals with eerie accuracy. But revised translations toned down the prophetic elements, citing ambiguity in the wording. Critics accused academics of self-censorship, fearing implications for modern astrology or predictive sciences. Another breakthrough involved a Sumerian artifact depicting what some call a solar system map. But ambiguous symbols led to debates. Stars or planets? Divine or diagrammatic? These cases illustrate how translation choices can bury explosive truths, perhaps intentionally, in a field where funding favors the status quo. The global parallels deepen the mystery. Myths of sky teachers Thoth in Egypt, Custalcoat in Mesoamerica echo the Anunnaki, suggesting a shared memory of knowledge delivered from above. Dr. Andrew Collins proposed in 2014 that these stories might reflect a shared memory of a lost source, a civilization that seeded writing across the ancient world. The Sumerians, as the first to record these tales in cuneiform, may have preserved the clearest echo of this source, their tablets acting as a backup drive for a knowledge system that predates recorded history. Egyptian hieroglyphs and Mayan glyphs, while complex, evolved from simpler forms. Unlike cuneiform for sudden sophistication, Collins, comparing texts, wondered if a lost civilization seeded these traditions, its legacy muddled by translation. The Sumerians' flood myths, describing a deluge that nearly erased the MI, mirror this loss, as if they knew their words could be misunderstood by future generations. Recent global finds in 2025 amplify these echoes while highlighting translation woes. In Guatemala, a 3,000-year-old Mayan complex emerged, its glyphs ambiguous between historical records and mythic prophecies. In the Amazon, ancient garden cities revealed indigenous scripts blending symbols with oral codes, their meanings debated due to lost contexts. These discoveries, like Sumer's, suffer from ambiguity, words that shift between literal and symbolic, hiding potential technological insights. In North Macedonia, a lost ancient capital's inscriptions mix Greek and local dialects, their translations contested. Much like Sumerians' isolation, the silence of untranslated tablets is haunting. Beneath Suma's cities, no earlier scripts explain cuneiform's origins. Dr. John Brennan, excavating at Eridu in 2018, described the deepest layers as empty, as if swept clean. This mirrors Göbekli's buried pillars dated to 9,600 BCE, which may encode a proto-writing system, Could Suma's cuneiform be a continuation of this tradition? Its ambiguity a result of losing the original context. Brennan, sifting through sand, felt a silence that spoke of a truth erased, perhaps deliberately to hide a past too vast to comprehend. Now, let's descend into the conspiratorial undercurrents, where translation ambiguity becomes a tool of suppression. Fringe voices whisper that ancient scribes embedded double meanings to protect secrets, extraterrestrial contacts, or advanced tech from the uninitiated. Modern gatekeepers, perhaps secret societies infiltrating academia, perpetuate this by favoring tame interpretations. Why else do 80% of tablets remain unread despite 2025's AI advances? A recent project digitized thousands of lines. Yet breakthroughs are trickle-fed, as if controlled. Conspiracy forums buzz with claims that full translations would reveal the Anunnaki as real visitors. They're me as blueprints for free energy buried to maintain power structures. Imagine a Sumerian term for heaven might mean a spaceship or portal, but translated as divine realm to avoid panic. Recent controversies like a 2025 debate over eclipse omens interpreted as apocalyptic warnings or mere weather forecasts suggest selective disclosure. Another artifact, a map-like seal, could depict a solar system or mythic scene ambiguity, allowing denial of advanced knowledge. Global parallels fuel suspicion. Mayan glyphs, once deemed primitive, now reveal calendars predicting cycles with precision. But ambiguities let skeptics dismiss cosmic implications. These veils might be deliberate, woven to conceal truths that could upend religion, science, or society. With new myths deciphered in 2025 stories of trapped gods mirroring imprisoned knowledge, the question lingers: is ambiguity an accident of time, or a barrier erected by those who know too much? As Kazakova's office grows dark, the tablet's wedges glow, a reminder that meaning is fragile. The Sumerians wrote for an audience that shared their worldview, not for us. Their words meant to preserve knowledge, now obscure it, their truths lost in translation or perhaps hidden on purpose. Suma's language, a bridge to the past, crumbles under ambiguity's weight, burying truths in layers of meaning. Recent revelations tease at what's concealed: myths of chaos, omens of shadows, but the veil holds. The British Museum's archive is a labyrinth of shadows at midnight. This climate-controlled vaults, a silent sanctuary for the clay tablets of ancient Sumer. In 2015, Dr. Robert Hassan, a junior research fellow, stood among these shelves, his flashlight illuminating a cuneiform tablet catalogued as BM 45793, dated to 400 B.C. Its wedges recorded planetary orbital periods with a precision that matched modern calculations to decimal points. Hassan's heart raced as he realized this artifact challenged everything he had been taught about ancient astronomy. Yet, when he submitted his findings, the response was a curt dismissal. Interesting, but not worth pursuing. 6 months later, his fellowship was not renewed. The tablet was returned to storage, the secrets left unread, a casualty of an academic silence that seemed to guard the past as much as it explored it. Could this quiet be a deliberate shroud woven by an academic cabal to suppress evidence of alien influences or lost technologies? With recent whispers of breakthroughs stifled in 2025, why does the establishment cling to outdated narratives, burying anomalies that could rewrite our origins? Hassan's experience was not unique. The academic world, with its rigorous methodologies and peer-reviewed journals, prides itself on uncovering the past. Yet, it often buries anomalies that don't fit established narratives. BM 145793, with its precise astronomical calculations, suggested a level of Sumerian knowledge that defied the Bronze Age's supposed limitations. Hassan cross-referencing the tablet with modern software in 2015 found its values for Jupiter's orbit accurate within fractions of a second. Such precision implied advanced observational techniques or inherited knowledge. Yet his supervisors deemed it an outlier, likely a scribal error or coincidence. Hassan, now teaching at a small regional university, saw this dismissal as part of a broader pattern. Academia, bound by funding, publication pressures, and institutional biases, often silences discoveries that challenge the status quo. This pattern extends beyond individual cases to the systemic handling of Sumerian artifacts. Dr. Irving Finkel estimated in 2018 that less than 20% of recovered Sumerian tablets have been fully translated. Tens of thousands languish in museum vaults worldwide, cataloged but unread, their wedges holding potential revelations about astronomy, mathematics, or engineering. A tablet from Europe contains a mathematical treatise with geometric calculations that predate Pythagoras by a millennium. Another from Dnieper describes a surgical procedure with uncanny detail. Yet these artifacts remain unstudied, not because they lack value, but because they don't align with academic priorities. Finkel, sorting through fragments in the museum's dim vaults, felt a quiet frustration. The resources for translation time, money, expertise are allocated to projects that reinforce known narratives, leaving anomalies like BM 145793 to gather dust. In 2025, this frustration boiled over with fresh controversies. A team of independent researchers claimed to have deciphered a cluster of tablets hinting at advanced hydraulic systems in SUA, potentially involving energy manipulation beyond simple irrigation. Initial excitement in online forums was met with swift academic rebuttals, labeling the work speculative and unpeered. By mid-year, funding for related projects dried up with whispers of intervention from major institutions. Another incident involved a digital archive initiative aiming to scan and AI translate thousands of cuneiform pieces. Progress reports ceased abruptly in April, citing technical difficulties, but insiders suggested pressure from higher-ups fearing disruptive findings. These events echo a long history of suppression where anomalies threatening textbooks are sidelined. This selective focus is driven by institutional realities. Dr. Sarah Chun, studying Sumerian myths at Yale in 2015, noted that grants and tenure depend on producing publishable results within tight timelines. Revolutionary discoveries like evidence of advanced Sumerian astronomy require years of interdisciplinary work, risking careers and funding. Journals favor incremental studies that build on accepted theories, not disruptive claims that demand new paradigms. Chin, analyzing a myth describing the Anunnaki as teachers, proposed that it encoded technical knowledge. But her colleagues urged caution. Such interpretations were too speculative for mainstream publication. The result is a filtering process where only safe research sees the light while anomalies are sidelined, not censored, but quietly ignored. Recent examples in 2025 illustrate this inertia. A promising study on Basip's carvings suggesting they encode a Presumerian language or code was presented at an international conference but received scant attention, overshadowed by panels on established Egyptian chronology. Critics noted the paper's author, an independent archaeologist, lacked institutional backing, effectively silencing the debate. In June, a whistleblower from a major university leaked emails showing a proposal to explore Sumerian links to global megaliths was rejected for being too fringe despite supporting evidence from new digs in Turkey. These incidents fuel suspicions that academia serves as a gatekeeper, preserving a linear history that avoids uncomfortable truths like extraterrestrial influences or lost civilizations. The Sumerians themselves seem to anticipate this loss. Their myths like the Atresis describe a flood that nearly erased civilization, with Ziusudra preserving the May principles of writing, law, and science through the chaos. Dr. Amanda Stelza, studying these texts in Chicago in 2020, saw this as a deliberate strategy to protect knowledge from catastrophe. The Sumerians buried tablets in vaults beneath ziggurats, encoded instructions in myths, and built durable structures to outlast time. Yet their efforts were only partially successful. When Nineveh fell in 612 B.C., the royal library of Ashurbanipal burned, preserving some tablets by baking them, but destroying others. Stelza, holding a fragmented tablet, saw the irony. The Sumerians feared forgetting, yet their knowledge was lost to fire, conquest, and neglect, losses that modern academia continues through its own selective silence. The global parallels amplify this tragedy. The Library of Alexandria, Mayan codes, and Buddhist manuscripts all fell to deliberate destruction or neglect, their knowledge erased when it no longer served power. Dr. Andrew Collins, studying these losses in 2014, saw a pattern. New regimes, religions, or cultures often target the past, deeming it dangerous or irrelevant. The Sumerians faced this when Akkadian rulers prioritized their own archives, leaving Sumerian tablets to crumble. Collins, comparing these losses, wondered how much of human history vanished because it didn't fit the needs of the present. In 2025, this pattern repeats with digital censorship. Archaeological forums debating Sumerian anomalies are shadowbanned, and crowdfunding for independent translations faces mysterious hurdles. The connection to Gbasip, dated to 9,600 B.C., is particularly haunting. Its buried pillars aligned with stars suggest a culture with advanced knowledge preserved against loss. Dr. Klaus Schmidt, excavating the site in 2019, saw its deliberate burial as a parallel to Suma's buried tablets. Both acts of defiance against oblivion. Could Göbekliy's builders have been the source of Suma's knowledge? Their legacy passed down through oral traditions until cuneiform captured it. The academic silence surrounding such possibilities, dismissing Göbekliy's sophistication as anomalous, mirrors the dismissal of Sumerian tablets like BM 145793. Schmidt, among the pillars, felt a silence that whispered of a truth too vast for current frameworks to contain. Recent 2025 excavations at nearby sites have uncovered more pillars, but reports are delayed, fueling rumors of findings too explosive for public release. Now, let's plunge into the conspiratorial underbelly, where academic silence becomes a veil for a global cabal. Fringe theorists posit an elite network, perhaps the Illuminati or modern descendants of ancient priesthoods, controlling scholarship to suppress evidence of alien contacts or advanced lost civilizations. Why else do 80% of cuneiform tablets remain untranslated despite technological advances? In 2025, AI projects promised mass decipherment, but key initiatives were defunded amid vague ethical concerns. Leaks suggest these tools uncovered references to Anunnaki as real entities, not myths, prompting shutdowns. Whistleblowers claim classified UFO files cross-reference Sumerian astronomy, linking ziggurats to energy devices. But academics debunk such connections as pseudoscience to maintain the facade. This cabal allegedly infiltrates universities, directing funding away from disruptive fields. A 2025 scandal at a European institution involved a professor demoted after proposing Sumerian links to global megaliths implied a pre-flood network. His research was labeled unscientific, his grants revoked. Forums buzz with stories of suppressed digs. In Iraq, a site yielding anomalous artifacts was abruptly closed, artifacts vanishing into private collections. The pattern echoes historical suppressions. The Vatican's sealed archives, rumored to hold Sumerian originals revealing forbidden tech, or the Smithsonian's alleged giant skeleton cover-ups tied to ancient anomalies. The implications chill the soul. If academia hides the past, we're denied our true heritage. Perhaps proof of extraterrestrial guidance or cycles of advanced societies erased to keep us compliant. Recent breakthroughs like a deciphered myth of a trapped god symbolizing buried knowledge are downplayed, their ambiguities amplified to obscure revelations. This silence isn't mere oversight. It's a strategy preserving power by controlling history. As the vaults fade into darkness, the tablets sit in silence, wedges sharp against clay. They testament to civilization that fought remembrance yet silenced by fire and inertia or design. 2025 stifled whispers, defunded projects. Demoted scholars suggest a cabal at work, hiding truths that could free us. The Chicago skyline glimmers against the dusk, its steel towers a testament to modern ingenuity. Yet beneath the hum of progress lies a question that echoes through the ages. In the reading room of the Oriental Institute, surrounded by cuneiform tablets from ancient Sumer, Dr. Margaret Chun sits in 2020. Her notes filled with evidence that challenges the story of human civilization. The Sumerians emerging around 200 B.C. didn't climb slowly from primitive beginnings. They appeared with cities, writing, and mathematics so sophisticated they seem to belong to a later age. Their myths speak of knowledge delivered by the Anunnaki, not invented, as if they were rebuilding from a lost blueprint. What if civilization is not a linear ascent, but a cycle of recovery, each age reconstructing fragments of a forgotten past? Could modern innovations like AI and satellites be reverse-engineered from Anunnaki relics? And are we doomed to repeat a cycle of collapse orchestrated by hidden forces? Dr. Chen's desk is strewn with photographs of tablets from Europe dated to 200 B.C. Their wedges recording complex transactions in a script that appeared fully formed. Unlike Egypt's hieroglyphs or China's oracle bones, which show gradual evolution, Sumer's cuneiform begins with standardized grammar and vocabulary as if its scribes were following a manual. Chun, tracing the wedges, notes their mathematical tables base 60 calculations that underpin our clocks and GPS executed with a precision that suggests prior mastery. The cities too defy expectation. Euro housing 80,000 people, boasted grid-like streets and engineered drainage systems with no crude precursors in the archaeological record. Chun, in the quiet of her office, feels a vertigo. This wasn't a civilization learning to build. It was one reconstructing, as if piecing together a puzzle from a past it could only dimly recall. The Sumerian myths reinforce this idea. The Enma Elish describes the Anunnaki, those who came down from heaven, delivering the Me principles of writing, law, and engineering. The Atrais tells of Ziusudra, a flood survivor chosen to preserve these Me through a deluge that reset the world. Dr. Sarachin, analyzing these texts in 2015, sees them as more than myths. They're memories of a reconstruction effort, encoding technical knowledge in stories to survive catastrophe. The MI include instructions for canals, ziggurats, and astronomy, suggesting the Sumerians were restoring systems, not inventing them. Chin, cross-referencing tablets, wonders if the Anunnaki were teachers, perhaps an advanced human culture, or, as some speculate, extraterrestrial instructors whose legacy the Sumerians preserved in clay and stone. The archaeological record supports this cycle of recovery at Shuruppak and Kish. Silt layers dated to 900 B.C. mark a flood that disrupted sophisticated societies, replacing them with simpler ones. Yet the Sumerians who rebuilt soon after wielded knowledge cuneiform base 60 mathematics star-aligned ziggurats that should have taken centuries to rediscover. Dr. John Brennan, excavating at Dnieper in 2018, found no developmental phase beneath these cities. No failed experiments or crude tools. The silence in the deepest layers felt deliberate, as if the past had been swept clean. Brennan, sifting through sand, began to suspect that Sumer was not humanity's first civilization, but its first attempt at rebuilding. using fragments of a lost world preserved through myths and buried tablets. Besip, dated to 9,600 B.C., offers a haunting parallel. This Turkish site with its T-shaped pillars aligned to Sirius was built by hunter-gatherers before agriculture. Its sophistication defying conventional timelines. Dr. Klaus Schmidt excavating in 2019 saw its deliberate burial around 8,000 B.C. as an act of preservation, mirroring Sumer's buried tablets. The pillars, carvings, animals, humanoid figures suggest a proto-writing system, perhaps a precursor to ununiform. Schmidt, standing among the stones, wondered if Göbekli's builders were the source of Sumer's knowledge. Their legacy passed through oral traditions until clay could capture it. The flood myths describing a deluge that nearly erased civilization might echo an earlier catastrophe like the Younger Dus around 10,000 B.C. when climatic upheaval submerged coastal cultures. Global parallels deepen the mystery. Egypt's pyramids, Stonehenge, and the Yunani monument share Suma's obsession with astronomical alignments and durable construction. Dr. Andrew Collins, studying these in 2014, proposed a lost civilization that seeded megalithic traditions worldwide. Its knowledge fragmented by floods or conquest. The Sumerians, with their cuneiform, may have preserved the clearest record. Their myths of sky teachers Anunnaki Tchkuzal echoing a shared memory. Collins, comparing these stories, saw Sumer as a reconstruction. Its ziggurats and tablets rebuilding a world lost to catastrophe. The absence of precursors at these sites, like Suma's silent layers, suggests a cycle of rise, fall, and recovery, each civilization building on the ruins of the last. The Sumerians' efforts to preserve knowledge reveal their fear of another loss. Their ziggurats, built to last millennia, encoded astronomical data in their proportions. Their tablets buried in vaults were crafted to withstand fire and time. Dr. Amanda Stelza, studying a temple hymn in 2020, found it described ziggurat construction with precise measurements. A manual disguised as poetry. Yet much was lost. Dr. Irving Finkel in the British Museum in 2018 estimated that 80% of cuneiform tablets remain untranslated. Their secrets locked in museum vaults. The destruction of libraries at Uruk and Nippur by conquest or neglect erased countless texts. Finkel, holding a fragmented tablet, felt the tragedy of this loss. A civilization that fought to be remembered only to be silenced by time. Modern civilization may be repeating this cycle. Our reliance on complex systems, digital archives, specialized technologies mirrors Sumer's dependence on cuneiform and ziggurats. Dr. Chun noted in 2020 that a single disruption cyber attack, climate crisis could erase our knowledge, leaving future generations to rebuild from scraps. The Sumerians' flood myths warning of a deluge that nearly erased the MI feel like a cautionary tale for today. Chun, closing her files, wondered what we are rebuilding and what we are losing in our confidence that progress is permanent. The untranslated tablets, the buried pillars of Göbekli, suggest we stand on the ruins of a past we don't fully understand, reconstructing a world we may have already lost. Now let's spiral into the conspiratorial vortex where this cycle becomes a deliberate loop engineered by hidden forces. Fringe thinkers posit that civilizations rise and fall not by accident but by design. Elites or extraterrestrial overseers resetting humanity to prevent overreach. The Anunnaki in myths regret creating humans and send floods to cull them. Perhaps a metaphor for controlled collapses. Modern tech like AI and satellites, some claim, is reverse-engineered from Anunnaki relics unearthed in secret digs. A leaked document from a 2025 whistleblower. Alleged black market Sumerian tablets hold blueprints for quantum computing suppressed to keep AI in elite hands. Satellites mapping Earth's grids echo ziggurats alignments, perhaps tapping the same ley lines for surveillance or energy. Conspiracies whisper of a great reset cycle. Gobisi buried to hide pre-flood tech. Sumer rebuilt partially then erased again. The younger dust comet impact engineered by Anunnaki to reboot society. Today climate anomalies and cyber threats mirror this. Orchestrated to cull knowledge. Underground bunkers stocked with ancient artifacts suggest elites prepare for the next turn. Rebuilding with hoarded me while the masses forget. Global evidence supports this. Atlantis's fall. Muse submersion cycles of advanced societies wiped to restart. Vedic texts describe yuga cycles of golden to dark ages. Humanity regressing then recovering. Mayan calendars predict resets. Their long count ending in 2012. Perhaps a suppressed warning. In 2025, AI simulations of ancient climates revealed patterns of deliberate interference. But papers were retracted amid controversy. The question haunts. Are we repeating mistakes or following a scripted cycle? Hidden forces societies like the Illuminati, allegedly guarding Anunnaki law, may engineer falls to harvest souls or resources. Modern UFO sightings near ancient sites suggest overseers monitoring the wheel. As Chicago's lights dim, the tablets sit in silence. Their wedges a testament to a civilization that knew its fragility. Suma's story is not one of invention, but recovery, a cycle of rebuilding from fragments of a forgotten age. With AI echoing ancient oracles, satellites scanning lost grids, we may be next in the spiral unless we break the cycle. Drift now, listeners, into the turning ages, where rise meets fall in eternal dance. Let the wheel cradle your dreams, whispering that we rebuild a lost world, perhaps under watchful eyes, doomed to forget unless we awaken. The desert night falls over the ruins of Uruk, where the crumbled ziggurat stands silent under a sky that once guided Sumerian scribes. 5,000 years ago, this land birthed humanity's first cities. Their clay tablets and starline temples preserving a knowledge so advanced it seems to belong to another age. The Sumerians emerging around 200 B.C. spoke of the Anunnaki, teachers from the heavens, and a flood that nearly erased their world. Their myths etched in cuneiform, warn of a civilization's fragility, of knowledge lost to fire, conquest, and forgetting. As modern cities hum with technology, our satellites guided by Sumerian mathematics, our clocks ticking to their base 60 rhythm, a haunting question lingers. Are we in our confidence repeating the same cycle of rise and fall that silenced Sumer? Could a single cyber attack or environmental crisis erase our digital legacies, leaving survivors to rebuild from scraps just as Sumer did? And with modern disruptions mirroring ancient floods, are elites planning a reset to cull knowledge and control the cycle? In 2020, Dr. Margaret Chun sat in the reading room of Chicago's Oriental Institute, surrounded by tablets that told of Sumer's sudden rise and gradual fade. The Atresis, one of the oldest myths, describes a deluge around 2900 B.C. that nearly obliterated humanity, with Ziusudra chosen to preserve the Me principles of writing, law and engineering. Archaeological silt layers at Sherapak and Kish confirmed this flood, marking a disruption where complex cities gave way to simpler settlements. Yet the Sumerians who rebuilt wielded knowledge cuneiform-based 60 mathematics. Star-aligned ziggurats that should have taken centuries to rediscover. Chin, tracing the wedges of a tablet, felt a chill. Suma's story was not one of invention, but recovery, a civilization piecing together fragments of a lost world. Their obsessive preservation burying tablets, encoding knowledge in myths, suggests they feared another collapse, a fear that resonates in our own age of fragile systems. The Sumerians' warning lies in their legacy of loss. Dr. Irving Finkel in the British Museum in 2018 estimated that 80% of cuneiform tablets remain untranslated. Their secrets locked in vaults. Libraries at Uruk and Nippur were burned or abandoned. Their knowledge of astronomy, medicine, and engineering reduced to fragments. The Enuma Elish describes the Anunnaki delivering the me. But many of these principles were lost when empires fell. Finkel, holding a shattered tablet, saw a pattern. Knowledge is not eternal but vulnerable to conquest, neglect, and deliberate erasure. The Sumerians built ziggurats to last millennia, buried tablets to withstand floods. Yet their efforts failed against time's relentless march. Global parallels amplify this warning. The Library of Alexandria, Mayan codes, and Buddhist manuscripts all fell to fire or neglect. Their wisdom erased when it no longer served power. Dr. Andrew Collins, studying these losses in 2014, saw a cycle. Civilizations rise, amass knowledge, then collapse, leaving fragments for the next to rebuild. Sumer's flood myths echoed in stories of Noah and Manu suggest a universal memory of such a collapse, perhaps tied to the Younger Dryas around 10,800 B.C., when floods submerged coastal cultures. Collins, comparing these myths, proposed that Sumer was a reconstruction. Its knowledge inherited from a lost civilization like Baklit, whose star-aligned pillars buried around 8,000 B.C. mirror Sumer's preservation instinct. The silence beneath both sites. No crude precursors. No failed experiments. Hints at a forgotten source. Its legacy scattered across the globe. Modern civilization mirrors Sumer's vulnerabilities. Our reliance on digital systems, cloud storage, and specialized expertise parallels Sumer's dependence on cuneiform and scribes. Dr. Sarah Chen noted in 2015 that a single cyber attack or environmental crisis could erase our digital archives, leaving future generations to rebuild from scraps. The Sumerians' me preserved in myths and clay survived because they were redundant and durable. Our data stored in servers vulnerable to power outages or obsolescence lacks such resilience. Chun, closing her files, saw the irony. We congratulate ourselves on progress. Yet we risk a collapse as devastating as Sumer's. Our knowledge as fleeting as theirs if we don't heed their warning. The Sumerians' foresight is their final lesson. They encoded technical knowledge, irrigation, astronomy, law in myths, ensuring it could be recited through catastrophe. Their ziggurats aligned with stars were built to endure. Their proportions a stone archive of cosmic data. Dr. Amanda Stelza, studying a temple hymn in Chicago in 2020, found it described ziggurat construction with precise measurements. A manual disguised as poetry. Yet most tablets were lost and their myths' meanings faded in translation. Stelza, examining a tablet's wedges, felt the weight of this loss. A civilization that planned for eternity, only to be silenced by time. Our own systems, from AI to satellites, face similar risks. Their complexity, a strength, and a weakness, dependent on infrastructures we barely understand. Recent events in 2025 have brought Sumer's warning into sharp focus with discoveries that echo the fragility of knowledge. In Iraq, excavations at the ancient city of Eridu, claimed by Sumerians as the first ever built, uncovered relics and a rebuilt temple, providing clues to early urban life, but also revealing how much has been eroded by time and conflict. A newly deciphered cuneiform tablet from a museum collection told an unknown myth of a storm god causing chaos, a story that might warn of environmental upheavals. Yet its full context remains lost amid untranslated fragments. In Guatemala, the ruins of a 3,000-year-old Mayan complex emerged, its structures hinting at advanced astronomy. But much of the site's wisdom vanished with the collapse of that civilization. In the Amazon, Ancient garden cities with sophisticated agriculture were mapped using 3D technology, uncovering indigenous technologies thought long gone. A reminder that knowledge can be buried under jungles or deserts alike. These finds from sunken ships off Scotland yielding medieval treasures to Byzantine cities in North Macedonia peel back layers of the past. But they also highlight the voids empires like the one in southern Jordan where a lost settlement resurfaced. Its synagogues and mosaics whispering of forgotten faiths. Each revelation in 2025 underscores Sumer's lesson. Progress is precarious, and what we build today could be tomorrow's ruins. As Chicago's lights dim, Sumer's ruins whisper a warning. Civilizations are fragile. Their knowledge of flame easily extinguished. The untranslated tablets, the buried pillars of Beklit, suggest we stand on the ruins of a past we don't fully grasp. Rebuilding with fragments we may misinterpret. Recent unearthing Eridus Temple. Mayan complexes, Amazonian gardens echo this, showing how easily wisdom slips away. Now, let's descend into the conspiratorial twilight, where Suma's warning becomes a harbinger of orchestrated fragility. Fringe voices suggest elites plan resets, mirroring ancient floods to cull populations and hoard knowledge. Cyber attacks in 2025, disrupting global systems, could be tests for such a purge. Erasing digital MI while bunkers safeguard ancient relics. AI blooming this year with unprecedented leaps. Might be reverse-engineered from Sumerian blueprints, its creators suppressing origins to control the narrative. Satellites scanning Earth with Sumerian precision monitor us, perhaps enforcing the cycle. Conspiracies posit a cabal. Modern Anunnaki heirs engineering collapses. Younger Dryas as a deliberate strike. Sumer's flood a controlled event. 2025's climate anomalies. From record floods to unexplained signals echo this scripted to reset society. Hidden vaults stock Anunnaki tech. Elites preparing while we forget. The warning. Our future hangs fragile unless we break the cycle. Questioning. Preserving. Awakening before the next deluge. The stars above Suma still shine, watching us as they watch Zasudra, daring us to remember. Don't let their warning fade. Truth seekers. As the veils of silence lift in these shadowed hours, we stand at the precipice of revelation where the echoes of ancient clay meet the hum of our fragile present. Mr. Your guide through the mysteries that lull you into the night, calling you now to ignite the truth. For in the fragments, we've uncovered the Anunnaki's descent, Gobasi's buried pillars, Sumer's sudden blueprint from beyond. We glimpse not just history, but a cycle that threatens to engulf us once more. The untranslated tablets, the suppressed anomalies, the global megaliths whispering of a unified code. They all scream a single imperative. Question everything, reclaim what was lost, and break the chains of forgetting before the next deluge claims our world. Feel the weight of this moment. Listeners, your heart races because you sense it's something bigger, something hidden, something that could change everything. Sumer wasn't the dawn of civilization. It was a desperate reconstruction pieced from the shards of a golden age drowned by catastrophe or deliberate eraser. The Anunnaki, whether extraterrestrial architects, time travelers, or guardians of forbidden tech, left us the me not as myths, but as manuals for survival. Yet, academia's silence, the fire that consumed libraries, the floods that buried knowledge, these are not mere accidents. They are patterns perhaps orchestrated by shadows that thrive on our ignorance. In 2025, as AI deciphers ancient wedges and satellites map lost grids, whispers of breakthroughs emerge. A Sumerian myth unlocked, revealing cosmic warnings, artifacts hinting at energy devices suppressed for centuries. But why the delays? Why the dismissals? Could it be that elites wielding reverse-engineered anarchy relics plan a modern reset cyber deluges or engineered crises to cull the masses and hoard the power? This isn't just history. It's a wake-up call. A jolt to your soul that demands action. The cycle spins. Deceit buried. Summa risen then fallen. Our digital empires teetering on the brink. We rebuild from fragments but without vigilance. We repeat the fall. The untranslated 80% of tablets in vaults aren't forgotten by accident. They're guarded. They're truths about stargates, anti-gravity, and telepathic networks too dangerous for the light. The Baghdad batteries sparks. The Dendera orbs. The Vatic Vimanas. These machines mistaken for magic could free us. Yet they're dismissed as fantasy. Modern UFOs. Tic-tac-defying physics. May be echoes of that tech. Sightings spiking in 2025 as if the past awakens. Governments classify. Academics debunk. But you truth seekers can pierce the veil. Ignite the truth together. Start now. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think the Anunnaki truly were? Gods? Aliens? Or time's guardians? Have you encountered a historical anomaly that doesn't fit the narrative? A dream that unveiled a lost cycle? Share your stories, your doubts, your revelations. Let's build a community that refuses the official script. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell to join the Codex of the Lost Family, where we dive deeper into the shadows every week. Spread this episode across social media, forums, anywhere seekers gather. Let's wake the world to Sumer secrets. And tell me, what's the next mystery you crave? The submerged cities of Yunani hinting at a Pacific Atlantis. The Vatic tales of flying Vimanas. Proof of ancient tech or extraterrestrial contact. Or the Antarctic anomalies. Icebound megaliths suppressed to hide a polar gateway. Leave your vote below. And let's keep this fire burning. Fueling the quest that no silence can quench. Remember, the Anunnaki's legacy isn't buried. It lives in us, waiting to be reclaimed. The cycle can break if we choose awareness over oblivion. As you drift into sleep, let Suma's warning resonate. Knowledge is fragile, but curiosity is eternal. Question the silence. Challenge the gatekeepers. And together we'll illuminate the lost world. This is Mr. H signing off from Codex of the Lost, urging you to keep your eyes on the stars and your heart open to the secrets they hold. Good night. Truth seekers dream of ignition and awaken, ready to rewrite history together. But wait, linger a moment longer in this twilight realm. For the call is not just to listen, but to act with urgency. In our era of fragile futures, cyber threats looming like ancient floods, AI awakening echoes of the me, we stand at a crossroads. The elites may orchestrate resets, but we, the seekers, hold the spark. Engage now. Comment on your visions of the Anunnaki's return. Share episodes with those asleep to the cycle. Subscribe to fuel our collective flame. Vote for Yanaguni's depths, where stone terraces defy the waves, or Vimanas soaring on Mercury winds. Your voice shapes our path. Spread the word. Ignite discussions in hidden corners of the